welcome everybody to the Social Dig, the greatest underrated show on the World Wide Web. I am your host, Mr. Rob G, and as always, we're going to be digging into the topics that keep you talking and the talk that keeps you thinking. So come on in, kick your feet up, get comfortable, get an ice cold beverage like I got here, and come join the conversation. So tonight, we're doing the live call-in show. At first, we weren't going to do it. I was going to save it for tomorrow. But we had such a great show over there. We had a great guest, Tress Blair, and we ended the night off fantastic with Brian Bowden with Bowden Talks. I think we got it locked in. So great overall show. I'm satisfied with it for sure. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And let's go ahead and jump on into the chat to see who showed up to the Social Dig live call-in show, late night call-in show. We got Area 51 coming in gold, love it. Tamat coming in silver. And we got Van Gogh with the bronze. Appreciate you guys coming on in. Fast Hemi, hello. Thank you for coming. Let's see. Welcome to the show. Greetings. Thank you for coming in. And let's see. Wes H. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming in. And Ange. Hey, Ange. Thanks for coming on in. Brown Dwarf, thanks for joining us, sir. Do appreciate you. And let's see. Okay, we're looking good. So we're starting off small tonight, and that's okay, because that's how the conversation goes. It grows as we go. Notifications should go out there. We should have some people joining us here tonight. And hopefully we can have a great conversation. Totally would love to get some people to chime in. We got Juanito in the building. Yeah, we had a great show, man. I'm satisfied with it. I think we did okay tonight. Felt good. And, we are reaching out to a lot of the people that you guys want to hear from. Like I put out that list. That list is no joke. As soon as you put something on that list, I'm on it. So believe me, we have some people coming up that were on the list that are going to be on the show within the next month and a half. And we're just building the list every day. I got a reply back today from another one of the guests who is ready to confirm some dates. So that will be awesome. And if Maggie M10 comes in tonight, then I can remind me to tell her, because she made a request and that person has confirmed. So should be awesome. Okay, so I see what's happening. So it's coming through the iPad, but it's not coming through here. So let me get this straight real quick here. Okay, I don't want it to come through here, but if I have to, let me go ahead and set this up real quick, guys. So that was 253 area code. So 253, you can feel free to call back in. I'm trying to get this set up. Two five three. Let me see. I'll probably have to call you back. Okay. 253, calling you back right now.
Rob.
Yo, Area 51. What's up, sir?
Of course. You know I got to break the ice.
Yeah, man, love it, love it, love it. It's been a long time too, man. How you been?
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, it's been since I got COVID, I think.
Oh, dude, I just had it too, man. I had it like probably 2 weeks ago. The whole house had it.
Jesus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cowboys 5 rings. Thanks for coming in. Long time no see too.
Oh yeah, Cowboy hasn't been here in a while.
Yeah, he ain't been here in a minute, and or at Spaced Out Radio. So glad to see you coming on in. Yeah, so
Sure.
we've been talking about some stuff. So the last couple of weeks, I know you've been like hanging around and lurking and stuff like that. So I know
Yeah.
you listened in on some of the stuff.
Yep.
Um, Let me see, because I don't know where I want to go first. Last week we talked about shoot, I don't even remember what we talked about. We talk about so much stuff. I don't even remember what we talked about, but I know Jim came up and spoke for a while
Oh
too.
yeah. Yeah. Jim. Yeah, that was nice to see someone different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jim came through and talked. Had some great stuff to talk about too, man. I know I got off on some sort of tangent, man, which I might do this week too. So I guess we can start with this. I don't think this is what we talked about last week. So somebody stop me if this is what we talked about. But so Dave Scott. So I filled in yesterday for Courtney on the UFO report, and Dave and
Okay.
I had a conversation about his feelings and beliefs. For this is what he did in the Dave 101 earlier this week. He talked about how he's beginning to realize that all these moves that are being made within Congress to block the Schumer amendment and to
Mhm.
stop the progression of disclosure, he feels has to do with them protecting government craft and that it has nothing to do with UFOs. It only has to do with them protecting government craft. So when
Mhm.
he did this on the Dave 101, I was in the audience and I'm in the chat and I'm like, no, no, this is not like let's not take the focus there because it sounds I couldn't believe I was hearing Dave lean to one side like that, but he has sources and some of his sources have led him to feel that this is all about them covering up black projects and that this actually has
Mhm.
nothing to do with UFOs. I just want to know, how do you feel about that? And do what do you think this whole posturing is with the Schumer amendment and these Republicans trying to or I guess they essentially have blocked it. How do you feel about that? What do you think the reasoning is?
Yeah. So it's funny that you bring that up because I haven't been able to talk to people about this, and I watched an interview with um with Grush and then this other guy. I'm trying to find it right now so that I remember. But they were talking about how like we kind of intertwined with with like our past and people thinking that they thinking that we're doing this to ourselves. Like it's like us in the future coming back and visiting ourselves because they this is so bizarre because it's they said that like men became sterile, so like the aliens are coming back, but the
Oh
aliens
yeah.
are literally us.
Yeah.
But if they
Yeah.
know, man, ah, that would be
I mean, see,
wow.
this is where because I like to be middle of the road, so I'm open to that sort of conversation, right? But the next question I would have to ask Grush is like, well, where's the proof of that? Like, where's the proof that that's the case? Like, why jump to that being us from the future and we're sterile in the future? Like, what would make you start there? Like, what would make that be the public thing that you say? It could be a thought process and it could be something to
Mhm.
think through because anything is possible. Nothing's off the table. But it's like, why
Right.
would you start there?
Yeah. Yeah.
It, that
I agree.
concerns me though.
It just ties a little bit into that, and I don't know where Dave gets his resources from, because like for me it's just podcasts.
Dude, and I'm gonna be serious with you, and that's the reason why we had the conversation the way that we did, because you know, when I was in the audience listening in that day on the day 101, he kind of was just, feeling really secure in his source that, that this was the case. Now we talked obviously behind the scenes as well on this, and then kind
Hmm.
of gave me some some insight on what type of sources that he's talking to and what he's looking at. But I'm like, I had to ask, and he knows he doesn't have a problem with me saying this. I'm not saying anything really. I'm just saying that I had to ask, when it comes to sources, and we've all talked about this. Like, how do you know sources are reliable? Like, what steps do you take sources through to validate information that sources give you? Because a source,
Hmm.
and a source could be any one of us could have a source, right? But so I just want to, because for me, and maybe it's just because of like how I grew up or where I grew up, and in a place where you have to be on point, and you have to be able to sniff out BS like on a daily basis, right? Like kind of the
Right.
places where I come from. So I think that because of that gives me and others who grew up the same way I did a different way of sniffing out BS. So it doesn't
Right.
have to be the traditional going down the traditional route. Some people just have developed a sense for sniffing out BS, like my man Dogman UK, who is the BS watcher, the BS news
Yeah,
channel,
he really is.
and
He
and,
really is.
and he is, and he is, and that's why we really click like that, because it's a thing
Yeah.
called real recognizing real, right? And he
Hmm.
recognizes that, and I recognize that in him too. Like, you can't
Yeah.
just pass anything past us and just think that that's gonna just fly. There have to be
Right. Right.
questions asked. Let's see, like, show me why that's the case. Like, I won't start off saying I don't believe you, but show me
Right.
why that's the case. That's the least that I can ask from you. If you're gonna say that, tell me that this is what it is, then tell me why. Like,
Hmm.
give me some more than that. You know what I mean? Because it goes back to what these skeptics were talking about a while back, the whole trust me bro thing. That's some trust me bro stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh-huh. I agree.
what else is it?
Yeah. No, I like that you guys ask questions. I mean, I've had my experiences, and I leave it up to the people to whether they want to believe me or not. But yeah, no, you're right to question it. A hundred
Yeah.
percent.
I mean, when it comes down to, so like an experiencer's story is going to be a little different. But like, if something, so if we're seeing strange things in the sky that people can't explain, and
Hmm.
then a source comes to me and says, "Yeah, those aren't UFOs; those are black projects that from our government."
Right.
Well, I don't see any evidence of that. Like, what I'm seeing is I'm seeing something that doesn't appear to come from this planet and is doing things that things from this planet have never done. So with
Hmm.
all that evidence sitting there showing me that this is definitely 99.9% not something that came from here, then if you're just going to tell me verbally that no, that's not what I'm thinking it is with all the evidence that I have, even though I have all this evidence, you're going to tell me no, that's not what that is, and it's this other thing. Just trust me on that. Like,
Right. Right.
how can I can't take that. Like, how can I take
Hmm.
that? I couldn't be satisfied with that.
Right.
So,
Right.
and it just that's why I was glad that he brought me on, and we talked further about this, and we
Hmm.
still stand on opposite sides of it, which is cool. But I think the reason why I was speaking up about it is because I don't, I saw in this ufology field 2 years ago
Yeah.
the whole narrative get shifted in how they, whoever it was, the power, we'll just call them the powers that be, came into
Hmm.
ufology and turned everything around, turned everybody against each other, right? So I saw
Right.
that happen. So there's no reason to believe that whatever, whoever that was that started that isn't still trying to achieve the same thing today. And
And the
so,
last 2 years have been significant because it's really put UFOs on the map.
exactly. And because of that, then whoever those powers are coming in trying to work double time to try to switch the narrative. So they might come whisper in my ear,
Right.
hey,
Right.
hey,
Yeah, I
those
said
aren't
that
really,
before too. I
yeah.
did say that before too because I go. I think I was telling like when I first joined like Discord and found like SOR and other podcasts. I'm not gonna name the other podcasts. They don't need to have that recognition. But you know, like I remember just being like, if we don't get like a really tight hold on this, the government's just gonna take it and run with it, and then they're gonna make you believe whatever they want you to believe.
Yep.
And it's happened.
Yep.
It's happened exactly like that. Like they're giving us information, and people are like running with it. And I go, like it hurts because I go, man, I told you this is like if no one grabbed a hold of this, and there was like a community that could, I mean, I guess what is it, Wufan, right?
Move
I'm saying
on.
it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, might have been the closest one, and they all failed to do it. Uh, I think Lua Rondo tried his best, but I think he just had that crazy guy from Blink 182 handling everything, and I go,
Well,
you're gonna lose this fight.
and then here's the thing. I mean, and I have nothing against Lou Elizondo. Let me start there. I appreciate what Lou Elizondo has done for this movement. I think he's
Mm-hmm.
definitely done a really good service in moving this conversation forward. And but at the same time, when some of that stuff was going on a couple months ago, it was rumored, and I'm just gonna say alleged. I'm talking to a
Mm-hmm.
person that was, I guess I'm talking to a source, right? So a source had led me to believe that people around Lou had kind of kicked up some negativity in the community, and I can't
Mm-hmm.
substantiate that, so I can't just go with that. But that's what I was told. And with that being said, if you have, and I asked Doty when we interviewed Doty, I asked Doty, if he could look, being that he was part of operations like that were set to infiltrate organizations like ufology. These are questions that I asked him, and he confirmed that this was the case. That if you look through those same glasses today at what's going on now, and you look around, do you see signs of that taking place today? And he said,
Mm-hmm.
yes. He said, definitely. He can
Mm-hmm.
definitely see where that's happening. So, and we knew it was happening, but to have someone who was on that side of it to confirm that, yeah, I see the stuff around all the time. So that means that they're definitely actively trying to infiltrate our circles within ufology and try to seed some misinformation in there. And I think it's
Yeah.
just only obvious that it doesn't make, so it would make sense if the things we were seeing were doing maybe some things we haven't seen before, but to be so far off, we talking about right angle turns at 10,000 miles per hour, and like we know that can't be something that we created. So for someone to then come in your ear and whisper, say, "Hey, no, those are actually military planes," That's why they're not passing this amendment, because they don't want them to be able to uncover that they're, that these are actually black projects. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, that's so far off and sounds so far fetched. But my whole thing is like the Congress, all these people that would have the access to go knock on the door of the contractor would be people who were cleared, had security clearances, first of all, to see these things, whether they were UFOs or government craft. So none of it makes
Hmm.
sense to me. None of it makes sense that it would be them trying to cover up government craft. And I just think if more people in ufology start feeling that way, like, oh yeah, it was just government crap, then that's going to be the new narrative within ufology. And that it's like reverse psychology, right? It's like they're using something similar to reverse psychology to make people believe that it's something that it isn't. And I'm like, we can't do that, because all we have right now is the knowledge that we've built up over the years to come to the
Right.
conclusions that we're coming to now. So you would literally break down all that work that we've done to get to this point, gathering all this data, to just turn around and
Yeah.
say, "Oh, those are government craft."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I had to make sure that I had something to say about that. And I'm still talking to Dave in the background, man. And we talked today about it, and we'll probably talk tomorrow. And every time I get to talk to him, we're going to talk about it, because you know I just want I I've seen people in ufology get turned, like my guy Lou Jimenez over there with
Hmm.
Lou Reviews. So
Hmm.
he was on this side. I don't know if you remember, he used to do UCR, Unidentified Celebrity Review, and where they were really on the side of UFOs. And then one day, a couple years ago, when all this riffraff started happening within ufology, then one day he flipped his script. I told him he did a 180, like he just really
Hmm.
completely flipped to the opposite side almost overnight. But it was based on some things that were being done to him by unnamed sources, like some of those
Hmm.
people that were mentioned to be around Lou Elizondo, some people within his circle that were targeting certain people within ufology. And
Right. Right.
to go a step further, it was it was confirmed, and I'm gonna say this because it's already out there, and I'm not saying anything that somebody doesn't already know.
Right.
Then it came out through one of his shows that I guess there was and I won't say the name of the show though. There was another show out there, and people involved in that show uh, had knowledge that there was an active attack on specific people within ufology, like a literal
Like
plan,
they had like a blacklist
a
for them.
blacklist. They had a
Right. Yeah.
literal blacklist to go out after certain people in ufology. So I'm like, okay, that that much is proven. So wouldn't
Mm.
you be on your toes at every
Yeah.
turn, knowing that there was a blacklist out there that, and we don't know whose names were on there, but there were apparently like 5 or 6 or 7 names on there. They never said whose names they were. But I would have
Mm.
to assume there's only so many people in this space for names to be on the list, that it would potentially be somebody that is probably on that list. And it's like, well, if you're going to get information from a source, then I would probably, knowing all this other information, I would probably be looking at the source like, I don't know, buddy. Let me go ahead and and vet that. And
Yeah.
we'll
And I'm glad you express the way you feel because to me, like I've been like pushed away from certain places because you you go against the grind or something you know. And the fact that you ask questions, you're literally sometimes probably making people feel weird about it. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, yeah, you know, like, but
Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's good. I'm glad that people ask questions. I like the pushback, you know, because
Yeah.
I'm not always right, but
Yeah.
I like when people can have like civilized conversations and be themselves because you know a lot of people are so afraid to do that,
Yeah. Yeah. And you,
and then you really get pushed away from being able to be in the community that you're allowed to do that, and that's why I think I like Sora so much. You know, like all you people are open minded, and and it's weird that the people that actually think they're open minded, they're actually very close minded.
right. No, and you said it best, asking questions that might even come off weird, you know what I mean? Like uncomfortable, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To have to ask the question or to confront um, a particular, like not really confronting you or your
Hmm.
ideas, really just opening up the conversation to other
Right.
possibilities. Because
Hmm.
I would hope that if it was me and I'm coming out here saying, "Oh man, I just heard something, and man, it's not even what we think. It's X, Y, and Z." I would hope that a friend, would see that and come from that end and say, "Hey, let's talk about this, Rob. Like, let's look at the logics and let's kind of just talk this out and see if
Yeah.
this is something that sounds right." You know what I mean? I would hope that
Mhm.
somebody would see that and say something instead of just kind of seeing it and then not really just like keeping it to themselves and not really trying to, help me see that maybe somebody I'm talking to is purposely telling me something that for to misdirect me because
Mhm.
I would hate that. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it could come off uncomfortable, but like I said, the relationship me and Dave had is agree to disagree, but I'll still stand on and he would too on his side if there's information I'm not seeing, that I'm not seeing for whatever reason, and he's gonna let me know. He's gonna show me, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna do the same thing. I mean, that's what friends are supposed to do for each other when you
Exactly.
having a
Yeah.
conversation. So, but like you
Yeah.
said, yeah, that can get
100%.
a little uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's something that it has to be voiced. It has to be voiced.
I said the same thing to my best friend, and this has nothing to do with any of like the stuff that we talk about. But I'd rather you tell me the truth. Like if I'm messing up, like be honest about it, you know, and like don't be afraid to confront me. Like I'm not a mean person. I
Yeah,
don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't go back and forth with people. Like if
yeah.
you can
I would
approach me
prefer
with
you
stuff
do
that
that.
you don't agree with. Yeah, and I love that about you guys because you guys, yeah, you guys can handle it well. And I go, man, there's people that I've had to deal with that, like when I joined the whole community, not not this side of of us, but you know, other sources, uh, they were not welcoming. And you know, like I like to push the envelope because it's like let me get a little bit more out of you, you know.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I
No,
want to know how you actually think and how you develop where you comes, but it's just like it just became offensive to people, and I go, well, I don't need to be here then.
yeah, yeah. You're right, though. I mean, that's the right mindset, and I guess it's just. I mean, if people know you well enough, then they know that you're open to being approached that way and questioned about things. But then some people that may not know you that well will think
Right.
maybe like, oh, maybe I'll offend him if I do that,
Hmm.
and that's why I'm coming out and I'm saying it and doing that because everybody should, especially with something as important as this, it should feel comfortable enough to question because that's how we get to the correct answer. That's how we nobody has the correct answer, but that's how we working together figure out how we can get there. And yeah, one of those steps is challenging and questioning and I'm gonna continue to do that, and that's what I mean by BS detector, right? And that's
Right.
what
Yep.
Dogman has as well. But I'll tell you, it's something that
He's good at it too.
it's something that you get from like I said, growing up in certain places where some people when they live their day to day life, they don't have to daily, wonder if somebody's trying to pull the wool over their eyes, or then some people live in situations where that's a daily reality where you really have to always wonder, is this person trying to get over on me or feed me bad information. And so I think, sometimes I look at it and I'm like, well, why doesn't everybody else see that? Like, why doesn't everybody get that? But then that ends up being the reason why, because not everybody has had to deal with that, you know what I mean, in just normal life. So when they're confronted with it, sometimes they kind of just go with it. And so
Right.
I'm that friend that you might get mad at, man, because I'm like, Juan, are you sure, Juan? Juan, are you positive? Like, and I'm
Yeah.
just asking, Juan, are you positive? That's all.
Yeah. I mean,
So
and even at sometimes those, you can't even. I don't know. For me, like you've captured your um, your shadow ghost or the shadow people, right? But I've never had like a good phone to like just be like, oh, turn it on and start recording because I've had so many experiences. People, it's up to them if they believe me or not. But yeah, you're right. Like it's like you need the proof. I get it.
yeah, if you can bring it, and see, the thing is that the whole part of the proof thing is just like you can't change what is already passed. Like it's already passed. You
Right.
didn't get anything. So how about next time? Like how can you be prepared next time? That's the key. Because as far as these things aren't going to stop happening. None of these things are going to stop happening. So
Yeah.
it's about the next time you have that encounter, are you prepared to do it, to get the video, to get the picture? And
Right.
because I'll tell you, I was halfway prepared for my UFO sighting only because I was doing a show at the time, and I just saw a show with my guy Tom King, and he kind of, he does this daily. He has cameras on his roof and filming 24/7, and he had he was on a show, I forgot what show, and he was just talking about how to be prepared, just to kind of how to have your camera turned, because a lot of people like to hold it in
Yeah.
what do you call that, portrait mode. People like
Hmm.
to record videos like that. Like, you can't get data like that. You got to get the widescreen view. Turn your camera to the side, like something simple as that. Because you see how many sightings or UFO videos or just anomalous videos do you see with the camera in portrait mode? Like,
Yeah.
who taught you to do that? You know what I mean? And so it's just kind of just making the public aware. Like, if you're gonna catch something, make sure your camera's turned the other way. And then when your camera is
Yeah.
turned the other way, make sure you zoom. You don't just zoom in on it immediately and film the whole video zoomed in. Make sure you zoom out for reference, so whoever watches the video can understand what your surroundings are. And then that way you can get a different perspective of maybe how far that thing is in the sky. Because a lot of
Yeah.
people take
Yeah.
their video, what they do immediately is they try to zoom in on the object, thinking that's going
Yeah.
to be
I've
the
done
best
that. Yeah.
video to
I've
catch.
done the mistake of doing that. Yeah.
And
A
I
hundred
would have
percent.
I would have done the same thing if I didn't watch
Yeah.
Tom King talk about this probably 2 3 weeks prior to my sighting, and it was just in my head. So when I did go get my camera, when my girl showed me the things, and then I went and got my camera, it clicked on my mind what he said. Hold the camera like this. If you do zoom in and zoom back out. Make sure you get reference. So those things were playing,
Yeah.
and that's just kind of information that other people should have as well. Because, yeah, maybe you didn't catch it that last time, But
Yeah.
or you did catch it that last time, but you didn't catch it right. You could have done better, and so that
Yeah,
next
right.
time you're
Yeah,
just
yeah,
better
100%. I
prepared.
mean, you're taking me back to like a barbecue we had for my cousin's birthday, and I looked up into the sky and you could see this like orb floating. You know, it could have been a weather balloon, but it it didn't register on the camera. And I was filming, and I was filming the reaction of my cousins and my uncle. And my aunt was the only one being like, "That's not a UFO," and I'm like, "Well, we don't know what it is," you know. So it is a UFO.
There you
You know, the
go.
first letter
By
in UFO is
definition.
unidentified. Yeah, by
Exactly.
definition, right? And I go, and I still have the video, but you can't see anything. I go, "Are you kidding me?" It was clear as day, and even my uncle was like, "I can see it," and I was like, "Ah, well, you know,
What
we."
did you get it? Did you is it something you still have?
I still have the video, but you can't see it.
Uh
Even, I've tried to even zoom in on the camera, and I can't. You know, and I have videos from other people. I've worked closely. I met the granddaughter of the guy who coined flying saucer. So I
oh
live
wow.
in Seattle. Yeah, I went to UFO convention in Centralia, and she was there, and I was like, "Oh, your dad is him." I mean, your grandpa, obviously. And
Damn.
he's like, he's the one that who coined, this flying saucer. And
Kenneth
I was like, that's so cool.
Kenneth
But there were
Arnold.
so many MUFON fans there, and I was like, oh man, it's weird.
Yeah. No, look, and Maggie M10 says YouTube shorts encourages portrait video. That's all the young generation know how to do. I mean, and they're granted they're just thinking about taking selfies, so they are not, thinking about UFO
Oh,
sightings. But, it's just something
oh,
that
Tim Mothman, you're friends with her? Yeah, she's really nice.
ah okay.
Yeah, I got to meet her, and she brings like the whole portraits and photos and everything. The original one too.
Well,
Him like describing the flying saucer. Yeah, yeah.
welcome to the
She's
show.
she's so fun. Yeah, she's funny, and she's really nice. She's really kind and shy.
Yeah, that's her name is Chanel.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't. I, I thought it was
That's
with
a
the C.
it's a Mothman. So, welcome to the show. Is there a UK call in number? There isn't. It's just this number, but you can click on the StreamYard link at the top of the chat, and that'll just bring you in on stage, and you'll be able to talk that way. So, if you can't call this number from the UK, and actually,
I thought.
Juan is on the phone, so you couldn't call it anyway.
Yeah.
So, you'd have to come in on the StreamYard link at the top of the chat. And then also, because I see Maggie in the chat, I just want to bring Maggie
I
up
know.
real quick.
Maggie wants to come in. Yeah.
Maggie
I like Maggie.
M10,
Maggie.
I want to let you know. It said, I think to call from the UK would be 0044 and omit the first zero, I think. So,
Isn't
Maggie,
Maggie from Australia?
yeah, Maggie's from Australia. And Maggie, just want to let you know, let me look in the camera. Maggie, so you recommended uh, Mary Rodwell as a potential guest. So I want to let you know that I just spoke to her today and we're setting up a date. So Mary Rodwell will be coming on future after hours episode for sure. We're confirming dates and we're talking back and forth right now. So that's for you, Maggie. That's for you. I got Misha Johnston. That was at Angels Are Life, Nikki's request, and I brought her in, and so I'm bringing people in, the people that you guys want to hear from. I'm telling you, put them on the list because I'm reaching
Yeah.
out, I'm talking to people, and I'm bringing them in. So if I can get in contact with them and establish that line of communication, we're bringing them in. So keep
Yeah. You
adding
know
to
what
that
though?
list.
I mean, we're getting close to the end of the year, obviously,
Yep.
December. But the I think the biggest surprise for me this year has been Melissa Tittle with Dave.
Say that again.
That one, Melissa Tittle,
Melissa Tittle.
right? Yeah, I said her name right? Melissa Tittle.
I'm unfamiliar with her. Who is she again? Is that somebody you're talking about bringing in?
Yeah.
Let me
Um,
write that down.
I think Dave brought her in, and I was just like livid, and everyone knows I was livid because I was like googly eyes over her.
Ah,
I hope she doesn't hear this.
Melissa Tittle. Let me see.
Yeah,
I have to do that, Melissa. How you
but
spell her
the
last
other
name?
one
Do you
is
know?
like, yeah, TITTL, and it doesn't have an E at the end.
No E. Okay. All right.
Brown George says, say your name again. Melissa Tittle, right? I'm saying it right.
Oh, Titl. Timotman says. Let me see. Titl. Okay.
Isn't it two T's? Yeah, Maggie has it right as far as like
Yeah.
enunciation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was so giddy about that interview. I was like, oh man. I
Cowboy,
remember when I saw it.
Cowboys five rings. You saying Robin Haynes from the show? Robin Haynes?
Is it?
Right, because he changed her
Oh no,
name
no,
to
no.
Haynes.
Cowboy strings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cowboys five rings. So he says Robin
yeah.
Haynes. Is that the cryptid report? Robin Haynes,
He's gonna have
Cowboys.
to elaborate on that one.
Yeah, yeah. Because I know she just got married. That's her new last name, and it was Rodman McCray, right? Before now it's
Oh
Haynes.
yeah, Tim Mothman knows. Yeah, she has the Cosmic Cantina.
Ah, that's who it. She has Cosmic Cantina. Okay, let me put that down.
Yeah.
Okay, Cosmic Cantina. All right. Yeah.
Who's Robin? I don't know who Robin is.
Oh, she got divorced. Oh, my bad. Okay, she was married. Okay, my bad. So she was McCray.
So she
Yeah,
sings. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. So she went back to her maiden name. Okay, Robin Haynes. I'll get her on there. Yeah, bro, that should be easy. That one's
Wait,
easy.
why are we talking? Who is Robin? Is that her real name?
Robin. Yeah, you know the lady who she fills in for Super Duke sometimes on
Oh
Dave's
yeah,
show.
oh yeah. I like
Yeah.
her.
So
She's
Robin,
awesome.
but see, she part of the family, so
She's
she's you know she I'm
you guys
sure
are
she would come
stacking
on no problem.
the card.
But
Yeah, you guys are stacking the card over here on
dude,
SOR. I
see
just
what we're
saw that.
trying. We're trying.
You guys just added. Ah man, I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I said, you guys are stacking the cards. Uh, what is his name? Is it Tim?
Tim. There's a lot of people we're talking to right now. There's
No, it's nah, Marquise.
I'm,
Sorry,
I'm
I'm
gonna
not
tell you
trying to
right
mess
now some of the people. So we're
because
talking
I have him
to
as friends.
Mary Rodwell, guy by the name of Len Caston,
Hmm.
uh, obviously Misha Johnston, lady by the name of Margie K and Debbie Ziegelmeyer,
Oh,
Susan
Travis, Travis
Mustos. Yeah.
Mostos.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
you guys
yeah.
added
That's
him,
the new
and I was like, that is
dude.
crazy.
Dude, he'll be on tomorrow. He's every Sunday. Every Sunday
That's
now.
cool.
Yeah, man, I had to do it,
He's
dude.
a good person.
He is a great person, dude. Period. There was no doubt. I
Yeah,
reached out
he's a
to
good
him.
dude.
I reached out to him, said we needed this, and he was
Is it his birthday?
totally in. Huh?
Lovey Love said it's his birthday today.
Is it? Oh,
That's cool.
yeah. I don't know. It's
I
his birthday
forgot to
tonight.
say
Oh shoot,
happy anniversary to my
we gotta
parents.
hit him up then. I didn't know it was his daggone birthday. Here, I'm finna tell him right now. Hold on, let me send him this message real quick, man.
Uh, yeah,
Let me
that
send
guy,
him this
that guy's
message.
awesome. I always love it. Him and Jessica Jones, uh, with Barry, man. I always call them the goats with Barry because like Barry Littleton is just I don't know the vibe that they get with each other is just like so awesome.
Oh, so just today, so 12/10, so Sunday, Lovey Love, is that correct?
So we're yesterday.
No,
No,
yeah,
today, tonight. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's now 12/10. Okay, just she was
He's
so it's
moving.
his birthday today. Okay, got it. Yeah, Barry.
Yeah, Barry's cool.
Barry. See that this is what I'm trying to do. I don't want to dip into other, you know, other guests. I want to get the people like these people are people that you see on SOR, but I want to get people
Right.
that you haven't seen on SOR. So that's what I'm trying to
Galloway,
tap into.
you gotta get him on. He hasn't been.
Oh,
Has he
is
even?
my audio low? It could be. It's always a problem. Hey, hey, hey. Am I better? Volume up.
Okay.
We good? We good? We good? Audio good?
I hear you perfectly.
Yeah, it's just for some reason on
So
their end. Okay, RG
who
Randall.
who
Let
is
me write this
R.G.
down.
Randall?
Let me write this down. RG Randall.
Is that the guy that does the thing with that Joe Rogan guy? Right.
Um,
I think I know who that guy is too.
RG Randall. Yeah.
I might be off a little
Okay.
bit. Lovey love. You want to be a sound girl?
I enjoy being a sound girl.
What does that even? What
Yeah,
does
I
that
was
even mean?
wondering. You working the soundboards? Are you adjusting mic levels and stuff? Okay.
Piss shitting and everything.
Yeah. So anybody, you guys, let's see, watching Ancient Aliens and Amy Teedle just came
Oh,
on the
that who he
screen.
is. Yeah, Randall. Okay, now I know who he is. The moment you said ancient aliens, I'm like, oh, yeah, I know. Now I know who that is.
Is the person named Amy Teedle or Melissa Teedle?
No, it's Melissa Tittle.
Okay. Okay. All right. So
He,
Starseed
she was
Awakening.
just recently on, and I was like, I got to ask her quite a bit of questions. I'm like, yes.
Let's see. Paul Sinclair. Paul
uh,
Sinclair.
Tim Upton, you still got to get that video from Jake Paul or Logan Paul. You live right next to them, man. He delivered their propane.
Man,
I'm not gonna let that go until he actually gets the video.
dude. Who's Mike and Stefan? Mike and Stefan, the father and son team that have the New Jersey Devil sighting. Do you know any more information on them Cowboys 5 rings, like last name
I didn't even see that question.
or some? Yeah,
Oh, probably. And you get Mike and Steph. Oh, the father. Yeah.
yeah, because I don't know who they are.
Wow, that would be crazy if you got them.
Do you know who they are? You heard of them?
I remember hearing the story. That's as far as I know, and
No
because my
balls.
girlfriend knows about it.
Yeah, let me see.
No Pauls were there last time. That means you could have went into the house and
Man,
try to find the video.
right.
All I have, what I've shown you, Pasco, right? The man with the golden voice is what I call him. When I showed you guys the pictures, and I was like, "Is this what you saw?" That was basically part of the video. They were just stills.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, that was insane. I was like, I didn't think he was gonna say yes, and he's like, yeah, that's exactly what I saw. And I'm like, that's exactly what the video describes. James Fox talks about it with Joe Rogan, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Dr. Sledge from Esoterica. So that you sent me that earlier, lovely love, but I you didn't put his name. So now that I have his name, that's good. Okay, great. So yeah, so that's a good list. That's a good starter list here. Like I said, the post is still on Facebook, and I keep checking it to see if new names have been added. So any new names you could think of, add them there, or you could even add them in the comments on any of these videos here, or in the community tab on my page. So let me see. Yeah, no, Dr. Sledge from Esoterica. No, definitely not a rapper. But he's out there though. I was watching some of his stuff, and he's a thinker, man. The guy is a thinker. He was going over some stuff from the medieval times, and man, I was like, wow, okay.
Jewish
Yeah, okay,
esoteric.
Jewish esoterica, okay.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, Rob G, do you do rap?
Yeah, Rob.
Yeah, I
Rob
do
G raps.
actually.
I know he does.
Yep, yep, sure do. I don't know if
Yeah,
you
don't bring me into the mix,
Brown
man,
Dwarf.
because I'll drop beats for him every
Yeah,
day.
yeah, I heard you working on your album, man. Congratulations on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. No one knows. It's different from what I'm used to, so it's it's just different.
Yeah,
So
Brown
I'm
Dwarf. If
I'm
you
excited.
look up Black Market Records out of Sacramento, Brother Lynch Hung, X Rated, Mr. Doctor. I don't know if you know about that. I think you may because you're from LA. But look that up. Yeah, no,
Brown Dog is
I'll get you.
cool, man.
I'll get you guys something one of these days. I'm working on some stuff too right now. I got a lot of good stuff, man.
Nice,
I'm gonna
nice.
do that.
I like it.
Lost Souls trilogy. People are far too political. The way to change minds is with something new. Yeah, I agree. Lost Souls. I agree.
Okay,
I agree. I really, really do. And yeah, I mean,
but
true.
I mean,
Well, I mean, when it
everything's
comes to
political, man. I
politics,
mean, when it comes to deciding like a form of thinking, it always becomes political. Like, you got people who don't agree with you and people who do agree with you. And they go, oh, well, everything's political, man. Like, I know people want to say that I don't want things to be political, but I mean, come on. I mean, even like choosing the type of ice cream that you want becomes political
right, right.
in the home. Like
That's true.
I'm like
That's true.
it's because it says choices. Political is choices, and it doesn't always have to be like I want to say
Okay.
like like divided. You know, and that's why I think I gravitate towards all of you because it's we're not divided. I think
Right.
even when we disagree, we become a lot closer. And a lot has changed for me in that sense because I go, oh my God, like I see other people's point of view and it makes sense. And you guys are awesome. Like you guys are the goats, man.
Man, you're awesome too, Juan. Straight up. You know that, man.
I'll be honest. You guys are the goats, and people were like, no, I'm not lying. Like I'm being honest. Like you guys changed my life. So I was in a dark place. So I love that you guys are my friends and people that I literally look up to.
Man, well, that's cool to hear, man. That's cool to hear, and I'm sure everybody loves, and the audience loves to hear that too, because they know that you're talking about them too. And here's the cool thing is that I'm sure they say the same thing about you. So it's like it's a situation where we all get to feed off of each other, man, and that's a beautiful thing. They say it's something to say about the company that you keep, and there's a saying that if you this is just, this is a hip hop saying. So they say, but it applies. So they say if you hang around four broke people, and you can insert anything broke, dumb, strange, weird, then you're bound to be the fifth one. So you should the people you're around should be smarter than you. You know what I mean? Like the company
Right,
you keep
right.
should be smarter than you because then you strive to pull yourself up to that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens
Hmm.
here. It's like so I get amazed
That's
off of some of the
exactly
things that I
along.
hear from people here, and I'm like, yeah, and it may add something to my whole mental catalog and
Yeah,
pulls me up,
100%.
and then I do something for you, and then that pulls you up, and then we just keep doing
Hmm.
that. And just imagine how you keep doing that, and it keeps going around. Everybody's pulled up a little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit, and then we
I
at
don't
some
think there's a
point we've
lyric.
all ascended. We're all way up here at the top because we
Yeah.
have kind of run through that process.
Right, right. And so love you, love. First of all, I gotta say I love you too, Brown Dwarf. You're one of my homies. And love you, love. I don't think it was a lyric. I literally think that Bill Gates said that. Like that. Like you just said, you elevate each other by the company you keep.
Lovey Love said, "Why she don't recognize the lyric? Cause it's my homeboy's lyric." Lovey Love, my homeboy in my group said that.
They might have said it differently, man.
Yeah,
That would be
he
cool.
he did say it a little differently, but that's what
Yeah,
the
that'd be
gist of
cool.
what he said. So
100%.
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I've said stuff where I'm like, I don't even know where that came from, and I go, that's from another universe or something. And I go, ah.
yeah,
But
yeah,
no, yeah, dude. Like, I hope to hear your music, 100%.
yeah, man. That's why. That's like I said. That's why I do this here, man. That's why I do this here, because I like to see. I like the whole vision for this show was. And actually, let me go back in time real quick. Let me jump in the time machine because I said this the other show, but I wanted to show this too. I wanted to show. I'm gonna show you. This was the mission statement, and the video's kind of messed
I
up.
literally hope you sound like Nickelback.
Look.
Everyone knows, like, oh no, he loves
It's
Nickelback.
kind of early, right? It was like it wasn't even. I hadn't even put up a video on
Jeez,
this
man.
channel yet. This was like a 3 minute video, like a welcome video that I did for this channel when I was trying to vision what this channel was going to be or what I wanted it to be. But by you
Yeah.
looking at this, you'll be able to see where 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 my head was at for this. And let me see. It's not on here. Where does the welcome one go? It's probably at the bottom here.
By the way, I hope more people join into the chat. Like, I can't be the only one that just broke the ice.
Nah, people are gonna jump in. Hold on. This is gonna be crazy, dude. When I listened to this,
Oh,
I
there
was
it
like, whoa.
is.
Hold on.
Change our nickels back.
All right. So this is what I did. This was me a year ago before
Bring the
any
heat.
videos were put up on this channel, and
I'm excited.
this is what I said. This is what I was saying, and then you'll know that like the stuff I'm saying today is like exactly what I was saying then. But
Like,
this was
you're
the
about to
message.
lose like 100 fans right now.
I know. Watch this. Watch. Check this out. Oh shoot!
Cheers,
Hold on.
Brown Dwarf.
Here we go. This is
He's
just a
about to go
welcome
ham.
video, 3 minute welcome video, and here it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Rob G, and if you're here, you're definitely in the right place. This is the home of my new show called The Social Dig. Here at The Social Dig, we'll be asking all the tough questions and together looking for those answers as we take this path to disclosure. Now, we'll definitely have some interesting guests and cover interesting topics and get a lot of the people that you want to hear from in this ufology space, as well as other spaces. Now, as far as UFOs go, we already understand that the powers that be aren't going to give us information. They're going to hold it back. But that's okay, because we're not waiting for them to disclose anything. We are all on a humanity-led mission to get that disclosure. Now, I come to you today in this video to talk about a couple things. This is the initial video for the channel. Just kind of wanted to break the ice and do a little short video to discuss some of the things that we'll be doing here. Now, today, as we're recording this is Thursday, November 3rd, and we have been waiting for a UAP report that was supposed to be delivered on Halloween, October 31st, but to no one's surprise, literally no one's surprise, especially mine, the report was late, and as of this recording, still has not shown up. Now, do I expect a smoking gun to be within this UAP report? No, I really don't. However, I do expect to get more information on some of these incursions that the military has been talking about, this exponential increase in activity. Now, theoretically, if you listen to Ryan Graves, he stated many times on many podcasts that they had been seeing these things every day for a period of 2 years. So we should expect, I would think, over the past 12 months, at least 300 new reports from the Navy alone.
Which was true.
Now, I think what we'll do once they actually release this UAP report is we'll make that the first video. We'll do a deep dive on what was said in the report, and then more importantly, what wasn't said in the report, and then try to figure out what our expectations are going to be for reports going forward. Now, I really didn't want to get too deep in this first video. This is more just to welcome you to the channel. Thank you for subscribing, or if you haven't done so, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you're aware when I do post that first video. We can continue this journey, and we will get to disclosure, because the outcome definitely affects us all, and what happens afterwards is truthfully fully in our own control. So once again, remember, thanks for coming along for the ride. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button, share the video, and let's get this thing moving. Now, I am your partner in disclosure, Mr. Rob G. Thanks for tuning in. Till next time.
You're solid.
Dude, that was, look, I hadn't posted a single video yet. I hadn't even posted a video yet. And that's where the mindset was, and it hasn't changed till today. That's all I'm saying. That's the only reason why I showed it, is because the mind state and the vision for this channel has been exactly the same thing that you hear me talking here. And when I was talking then, I didn't even have any subscribers. I had like probably 10 subscribers at the time. You know what I mean? And it was just the vision for the future of this channel, man, and then if you look at all the shows that since that day, they've all been shows that kind of hit like they're supposed to. And
I think I remember when I saw you and I subscribed. Like you had just, it was out of like a whim. You were on with Dave, and you came on there, and I remember you saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna subscribe to him," and yeah, that was crazy. Like, that was fun,
dude.
Yeah,
that's the first time.
People don't like when I say, well, people who are jealous of SOR don't like when I say, you guys bring the heat, not the sleep. And I'm like, I'm trying to get Dave Scott to put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. I love that.
Like, dude, tell me.
I love that. I use
Yeah,
that
because
all
I
the
was like,
time too, man. When you're not here, man, it was a couple times you weren't here, and I used your
oh yeah. Well,
bring the heat, not
I
the
was
sleep.
there, but I was like, I need to let other people speak. You know,
Like, let me use
I
Juan's
don't know.
tagline.
I think there's like a lot of people that were like, you need to be part. I was like, no, 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 that's not my thing. I'm a, I'm a musician and aircraft painter. Calm down.
Yeah, I gotta get in Espanol. Brown Dwarf, gotta happen, man. Gotta happen. Gotta happen, man. But you know what I'm saying? Like Brown Dwarf is over there doing this thing. You know what I mean? And I love that fact. You got Susie B. She goes live and does her thing. Love that. Dogman
I was
UK goes
recording that.
live. Love that. You know what I'm saying? And it's all about that message, man. It's all about that message.
She is crazy talented with her painting.
I
Insane.
haven't seen her paintings though. I need to see that.
Oh no, yeah, she is insane. And I don't know if it was yesterday or Thursday, but I went on her podcast or whatever she was doing her live show, and I told a story that I wanted to share with you guys because it's when you guys asked me, and I got in trouble for this. Are you ready to meet aliens? And I'm like, nah, you're not. And they're like, how do you know? And I'm like, because my mom wasn't. It's
Uh,
like, what do you mean? And I'm like, oh yeah, all right. So let me tell you. And I go, the Zimbabwe kids, they were just kids. So like, you're innocent when you're a kid, and they call the aliens and whatever. But I was like, nah, you guys ain't ready for that. And they're like, all right, well, tell us the story. And I was like, all right, cool.
yeah.
I go, it was like December or something, and we were at Albertsons, me and my stepdad, and I saw like the leftover mask from from Halloween, and there happened to be an alien wedding. You know, I'm fascinated with aliens, so I'm like, all right, I want that mask. But my dad at the time was just so cheap that he was like, nah, I'm not buying you that. It's $10. And I'm like, $10? Are you serious? And when we went to the cash register, he looked at me and he saw that I was really disappointed. And then he goes, go get the mask. But I was like, if you're gonna get the mask, we have to do something. Let's scare your mom. And for like a week, we literally just talked about like alien sightings in Seattle, around Mount Rainier, and everything. And we had the mask in the car. He didn't know what was going on. And then he's like, "We're gonna prank her, and you know, I'm gonna pretend like I'm gonna go get a pizza and go to Blockbuster. Blockbuster was still a thing back then. And then I'm gonna jump on the balcony, and then make sure the blinds are open so that when I stick my head in there, she sees the alien mask." Oh,
Right.
man.
That's funny.
Oh man, I remember just like being like, I remember just when he left, I went and opened the curtains, and she closed them, and I go, and I opened them again, and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, no, well, it's kind of hot in here. And she's like, okay. And she was like acting weird. Nah, man. And then I heard my stepdad approach the balcony. Like I heard him like land, and I'm like,
Ooh,
I'm about to hear a freaking cry, right?
Jesus.
And he stuck his head into uh, the window, and my mom literally lost her mind and ran into my room, and and she was just hysterical. And I started crying because she started.
I
I'm
think
like, dude, chill, chill. Like it wasn't even a joke at that point. I was like,
was
calm down. Like my mom, like stop. Like it's my stepdad.
hold on.
You know, okay. Like it's not an alien or anything. She thought we were being invaded. Oh, and I said at that point, like I think I offended a lot of people because I was like, nah, they're not ready. Like if my mom wasn't ready, you were. If my mom didn't talk to us for a week.
Whoever that was, I just missed you. I think you came in and then you left. I didn't see you. Oh, okay, here we go. We got him back.
Oh, are we getting someone new?
We got welcome to the show.
Oh, who do you guys in the show?
Hello, hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, Mr. G. I just
Who,
thought
All right.
who is who is
I,
So you're
I just
Lee
thought
B, right?
Lee B, aka Major Lee, and
Okay,
welcome to the
okay.
show on different platforms. I just thought I'd drop by. It's 8:30 a.m. here in the UK. I just wanted to drop by, say hi, and
Hello. Nice to meet you.
really,
Finally.
no, it's fun. Really enjoy the show. Hi, hi. It's nice to meet you, both of you, and everybody in the chat, and the social dig community and the family. Um, I'll be quick. Um, I, if I could, if that's okay, I'd like to tell you
Yeah.
about a
Take.
site.
Yeah.
And
Go. Floor is
yeah,
yours.
dude, you take the floor, dude. Yeah,
uh,
yeah, exactly. Take the floor.
how's my audio? Is it okay?
Yeah, you sounding good.
Okay. So, um, in June 2021, I had a sighting, quite close up sighting, and it's full of UFO cliches and things like that. But anyway, I'll tell you what it was. Nearby where I live, there's a nature trail that has been developed on some abandoned railway tracks. And I have two little dogs. I walk my dogs down there nearly every day. And on this particular afternoon, um, I had a sighting. I've been out with the dogs for about 30 minutes. So I'm maybe about uh, a mile or so, maybe a couple of miles away from the nearest house. And it was a low cloud, the cloud base, I think that's the term you use. The cloud base was quite low. It was like a overcast day. And I just had this urge to look up. And I looked up, and just dipping below the cloud base was a cube-shaped object, just stationary. And the cloud was moving behind it, but this object was stationary. And it was like I think the best way I could describe it was like a dirty gold colour. And it had three circle insignias on the side of it. And I estimate it was about the size of a large refrigerator. And it was just stationary in the sky. I got massive goosebumps. Every hair on my head and arms and all of my body was reacting to this. So I was in quite a state of shock. And it was almost as if my two little dogs, who I'm close to, they're like family, as you know, they could sense my feelings at the time. So I'm looking at this thing. I've just put eyes on it, and I thought, right, I'm going to take a photograph of this, take some video, And I had, at the time, I had an iPhone 8 Plus. A few years old, but still working perfect. And it had been on charge in my house just before I left the house, so it was fully charged. And so the cliche, I took the phone out of my pocket and keeping my eyes on this object, I got the camera app up on the phone, pointed it at the object, and my camera just went black. My phone just went black. The screen just went black. So what is going on here?
Wow.
So never done that before. So I took my eyes off the object, pressed the restart button on my phone, and the phone restarted. And when it restarted, a message come up on the phone, and it's only ever done it once. I mean, I don't have that phone now. I have a different iPhone. It only ever did it once, and never before. It said that my iPhone battery. The message said, and if I remember correctly, it said your iPhone battery suffered a critical failure, and it had to reset. So all that took about 10 seconds. And when I looked back up, this cuboid-shaped object was gone. And I scanned the sky, and it was off in the distance, and it's very hard to tell how far. But when I first saw it, I'm presuming a few thousand feet above me. It was the size of a refrigerator. When I saw it again on the horizon, it was like the size of a Rubik's Cube.
Wow.
So it had travelled some distance in that 15 seconds. So that's my sighting. That's the only sighting I've ever had. But it was as real as I'm talking to you now.
Yeah.
And it was very profound, extremely profound. When I got home, I literally got on the bed and curled up in a fetal position and tried to get my head around what I'd just seen. But it was real as day. Yeah. And this thing looked. How can I describe it? It looks heavy, but it was just there just stationary in the sky. And
it was like a gold metallic cube.
Like a dirty gold, not new gold. And when I say cube, it was more like a refrigerator shape, and it had a definite three circles on the side of it, like engraved in the side of it. Well, yeah, that's it, Rob.
What year was this?
This was 2021.
Wow. Okay, so you're fairly recent.
Yeah.
So, and I know that feeling, the feeling that you're talking about, and when you say that it was as real as real can be, because that was exactly how. So I had that same feeling that you felt, and I'm just wondering because. How did you you explained it, you went and curled up in the bed, which is probably what I would have done if I was by myself, because I happen to have a couple people with me that saw it. So, but if I saw it by myself, I think I probably would have had the same feeling. But isn't it amazing once you have that sighting and you see that thing that you know isn't from here, and then just your outlook on things from that moment forward, how it just changes, and how you just
I think, I mean, I've it does. I mean, I've been following like the UFO field and things like that for decades, and I've never had a sighting. I think it started back in the late 80s, and I was working a night shift, and I picked up the Chariots of the Gods book, and I was reading that on the night shift during my breaks, and that that was like the catalyst of what I followed. And I started listening to Art Bell and further to the shows. I was reading a lot of Arthur C. Clarke, science fiction, and Isaac Asimov. So I've always had my eye on things. You listen to other people's experiences and encounters, and you try to believe them, and you do believe them in a sense. But once you have that event yourself, all those are the people who you've heard, and all those experiences, you say, "Wow, yeah, this is real. This is the real deal. This is what's going on."
Yeah, and see, that whole thing is what has opened me up to so many other things, right? Not just now UFO. So I'm like, okay, that was definitely not from here. So now what else is possible? That kind of question comes up next. It's like, okay, so now I start thinking back about these Bigfoot and these cryptids and these other things. And then now that whole world is open to me now for me to feel like those things could be possible too. And I don't know if that's how you felt afterwards,
Well,
but
I think things like these. I'm kind of on the fence with cryptids, but I think there could be other explanations for these sightings. I mean, I hear a lot of people who claim to be having tea parties with Sasquatch, and things like that, and I'm like, I'm not sure, but I do think the actual some genuine sightings might not actually be physical sightings. I'm wondering if these could be like some kind of glitch in time, and people are maybe seeing like like a ghost of Sasquatch, like ghost ships.
right.
Like things that were there in the past or things that may be there in the future. I don't think they're actual time stamps seeing them as they are. I think time's a funny thing. That's a hard one to comprehend. We still don't even know what time is all about. I think, maybe some things come in and out of our time zone, and we perceive them as being in real time, but they may not be. They could have been 100 years ago or 100 years in the future.
Yeah, I agree. All things are on the table. All things are on the table, and I'm with you. I go through a thought process because first I just I just feel like I've opened up to okay, these sightings are potentially authentic sightings based on I just saw something that I couldn't explain. And then then it goes down the rabbit hole as to what those sightings could mean. Like are they physical here right now in the flesh sightings? Are they potentially, just like you stated, looking into another time or because any of these things truthfully could be possible now, that it's been that the whole thought process of what we thought we knew, we don't really know. You know what I mean? And that kind
Yeah,
of takes
yeah.
us back to square one on our thought process.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, it's things like consciousness and that. It could be quite possible that when people are having these sightings, they could be taken into a different frame of consciousness. I know that keeps coming up. Um, where you see these apparitions, UFOs, ghosts, or cryptids, or what other natural phenomena. It could just be taken out of a certain state of consciousness just for a few seconds or 5 minutes or 5 hours and witness these events. I mean, that starts tipping into dimensional discussions and all kinds of possibilities. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, did you watch the show earlier at After Hours with Brian when Brian came on? Brian Bowden at the end of the show, he talked about back at I think he said in the '60s or something where they were playing with the particle collider and it ended up tearing into the a parallel dimension, and then essentially leaving a gap open for things to come and go as they please. And I hadn't heard of that theory, which is a theory. Obviously, it's not proven, but listening to that theory, it made a lot of sense on how some of these things can come, essentially show up when they want to and can kind of come and go as they please. And it kind of makes me feel like that's a plausible explanation because, just like Maggie said, too many similar reports to dismiss. So people are definitely seeing these things, but
Well, yeah. I mean,
where are they coming from?
there was a there was dabbling with the particle accelerators in the mid 50s in Italy. I forget the name of that particular site. Um, but yeah, I mean, you don't know what kind of things you're dabbling with. We're talking about the Ouija boards of physics here. Um, you don't these things when you're colliding these particles at pretty much almost the speed of light, and we don't know what effect that might have. It could open up a portal, and I'm doing air quotes for that, where things could glimmer into our reality, and just things what are there all the time. Or like I say, I think time and consciousness is two things what are being overlooked. I mean, with all this UAP hearings and Grush and all that, and all that what's going on, nobody's talking about actual human physiology and how the brain works and consciousness. It's all a bit nuts and bolts, and these things are turning off nuclear silos and things like that. I think it's that does play a part in understanding this, but I think it's more 70-30%. I think the 70% is stuff we're not talking about, and 30% is all the rubbish and all the grifters and all that stuff. I think we need to have a more open discussion on what we're not talking about, and that's a bit of a cliche, because how do you open a discussion when you don't have the narrative and the language to open that discussion?
Yeah, and that's why it's always good to be able to sit down and talk these things through, man, because there's never a point where, I mean, I think maybe we'll get to a point to where we end up getting the answers, but just being able to spitball and kind of just talking these things through, I think is just a healthy thing to do. And and that, once again, that's why I don't really sign up for the people that think that they know everything, and can answer every question that there is about this. I just don't see how it's possible that you can do that. And
There's several hypotheses. Well, what I considered, and this is a bit out there, this is a bit woo. We talk about advanced civilizations being 1,000 million years in front of us, or whatever. One hypothesis I considered, and it kind of touches on the demon aspect of these UFO crafts, it just touches that slightly. Um, if there was a civilization that was 1,000 years old or 10,000 years, what if that civilization was um, the dead? Because the dead have been around a very long time. And what if it's possible that somehow when you do die, there is another situation and the dead have come up with some way of crossing the dimensions in these UFO craft, building
Yeah.
actual physical UFO craft. I mean, because the dead, as you say, would be an ancient civilization. If in fact there is somewhere after death, there might not be, it might just be lights out. But if there is, what if they've discovered a way to cross over the veil and come and visit this timeline? I don't know. I mean, like I said, you just all these things I've pondered. Um, what do you think?
No, I've thought about that as well. I've thought about that as well. And hopefully, Simon, this is better on the volume. Let me know. But yeah, no, I've thought about that as well. And, I thought about what's inside of some of these crafts art, because here's the thing, like you said, we don't know what happens when we die. And I've had many thoughts of what potentially happens. One of the more plausible things that I think probably is the case, but not for sure, obviously, is that the energy that makes us goes out into the atmosphere, into the universe, like every because I feel like our energies, not just ours, but anything that's living or moving that creates energy, which is the planets, the solar system. It's always spinning and powered by something. And I just feel like we're all a part of that energy, and that when we do pass on, our energy escapes our body or leaves our body and kind of re implements itself into the overall energy that's all around us.
Yes,
In
yeah,
that, in
yeah. Well,
that,
yeah. Sorry. Well,
yeah,
that's from a limited knowledge of it. That's the laws of thermodynamics, where energy doesn't disappear. It just
right,
it
right,
it, it, it just goes to a different form.
yes,
Like I forget how it works. For example, like in a steam engine, where you're boiling water and then that turns into steam and that moves the steam engine,
yes,
and that's the laws of thermodynamics. Energy, which obviously are all living beings have, whether you're a
right,
bug, whether you're a bug or a human, we all create energy,
right,
and once you die, that energy, even as weak as it might be, it could be as weak as gravity, but that energy does add to the energy that's already out
yeah, it
there.
persists. And it
Yeah,
goes into what I was going, Maggie M10 beat me to it. I was going to say that could explain the dark energy that we can't explain, right? That could it could go into that. Like
fantastic.
that
Yeah,
could be
yeah, fantastic comment, Maggie. That may well be what it is. And
yeah.
as beings die across the universe, their energy dissipates into the universe and creates dark energy. Fantastic hypothesis. I love that. That's great.
It makes total sense. And putting the pieces of the puzzle together, because we won't know probably until we do pass. But
Mm,
I think, with that being said, with consciousness potentially being tied to that energy, it just makes me think about the people that have already passed on. Like do they immediately find out that answer? I'm sure they do. I'm sure immediately they find out the answer to that, and then it is this great thing, or you
I,
know
I,
what?
yeah, I think it might be that once you do pass over, it's not an immediate realization. It may just be a relaxation of realization where
Mm,
we we just become part of the energy, and there's no regrets, there's no looking forward. You just become part of this energy, and there's no feelings, no sadness, perhaps even maybe no happiness. You just become part of this. Like Maggie said, that's a comment of the night. It could be that it could just become dark matter, and
yeah,
maybe that dark matter expands the universe, and it,
yeah.
it,
I mean, it's.
it,
I feel like it definitely is what powers the universe. I think the energy that goes into our bodies when we're born is from the universe, and
well,
it
yeah.
potentially
Well,
could be dark matter.
yeah, it clearly
But
is. It clearly is that energy when you're born. I mean, it's like a nuclear explosion.
right,
Um, we can't comprehend how much energy is in there. I think I read somewhere, I can't remember what it was, but it was something um, like there's enough energy in a sugar cube of matter to power the world for 100 years or something. I'm not sure what that was, but I mean, if that's the case, the energy to create a living being, um, a cognitive living being, it could be huge. You don't know how much energy is in there. You don't know how much energy we're giving off. Maybe just the energy that humans are giving off is traveling on some quantum entangled fog throughout the universe. And,
right. And we talked with Magneticus was on the other week. We looked up the fact of just living human beings not being able to wear watches because the electricity from their body is too overpowering
mm,
for some watches, and that just shows how much energy is contained within this capsule or this whatever you want to call it. And it's just amazing to think of, when you think of like electricity and water and in the air and space around us, and the way that we're able to kind of reach out to each other without verbal communication, where you can walk into a room and everybody can feel that that person walked in the room, and everybody turns around and looks. So that energy that became present reached out and touched other energies within the room. And so yeah, if that's the case, then it's almost, if you think about like Wi-Fi, it's here and it's present and it's all around us, it's passing through us. And that could be the same thing, like the conductivity of our energy
mm.
to each other, and then also out into the universe. And then so it only makes sense that potentially what we're talking about is pretty plausible.
Well, I think, I mean, the human body is full of electricity. Your heartbeat is governed by um, biological electrics.
Hmm.
We're talking like AI there, but so your heartbeat is governed by biological electrics. Um, your brain is full of all kind of electrical synapses and things like that. So it's like going back to the Matrix when he says, he shows him the Duracell battery. He said, "This is what you are." Um, is pretty much on the button. we are full of energy, and it could be possible. Maybe these craft coming to us to take that energy off us. I don't know, but that's a bit of a cliche because we're finding hundreds and hundreds of planets almost on a monthly basis out there that have the potential for life and things like that. And I think there's definitely something bubbling on the horizon.
Yeah.
That we're gonna find out that we're not alone. It might not come in the form of nuts and bolts, UFO in it, area S4 or biological entities. It could just come in the form of a signal from somewhere. Just a definite signal. I mean, do you remember that? Do you remember the WOW signal? That was picked up. I think it was in the 80s and 90s. I'm not sure.
Oh, the WOW signal, yeah.
Yeah. And I had a hypothesis that may have been a signal to announce when those, I think it was 6 asteroids crashed into, was it Venus? I thought it might have had some correlation to that. Like it was a message saying, right, look, these asteroids are going to crash into Venus at such and such a date. Because it predated that, I think, by about 12 months, and I thought it could have been some civilization saying these interstellar objects are traveling through your solar system. They're going to crash into Venus at such and such a date. I know going off on a bit of a tangent there, but
yeah, that's what the conversation is all about, truthfully, because that it's a never ending one. It's a rabbit hole, literally, and it's one that you could come up with so many different theories for, and it's any suggestion that you have, any theory is helpful to the overall conversation. Like even going further, how you talk, some people talk about some these ET crafts are powered by ET consciousness. That makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? If our bodies are full of energy and electricity, it would make sense that if something that would be conductive, we would be able to transfer the energy into, just like static electricity, or just a simple example, just like how you can power a potato clock using a potato, right? If you can power a clock with something that small, imagine what a human can do or an ET can do.
I think we're there already. I mean, there's already people in these universities controlling video applications with the mind. We've got virtual reality now. The game, the PlayStation and virtual reality headsets, and admittedly, you've got a couple of hand controllers. It's not beyond the realms of possibility to remove those hand controllers and control the situation with the mind. They do it now with artificial limbs and that, where they're using impulses from your mind and muscle impulses to, pick up a cup or make a sandwich, with an artificial hand.
Yeah,
so I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that you can control a flight surface with your mind. I mean, if you have, the fighter pilots of the gyroscopic helmets where they look in one direction and the flare camera looks in the same direction.
Yes.
I know that's more of a mechanical fix, but yeah, I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility because we've been doing it for years already. Controlling physical apparatus with our minds. You can only project what that might look like in another 10 or 20 years, or even in 5 years, or even less, where you can control a flight surface or anything like that. You could be driving your car down the road, and you're doing it with your mind. Self-driving cars and things like that. What are connected to your mind. So if a child steps out in the street, you say stop without having your hands on the wheel. So yeah, that's definitely on the cards.
Yeah, I was saying the whole thing, like, we're pushing for this, and we're coming together to try to advance the narrative and move the needle on getting to the point where all this stuff can be realized. And even though we all understand that it may not all be realized within our lifetime, but we are setting it up for our future generations to have these answers from birth, and that's going to be a beautiful day when we have a generation finally that comes that has the answers from birth. They don't have to go through life searching for these answers. They get to have them from the beginning, and it'll be because of work and conversations, really, that we're having today that are going to move that needle and change that whole narrative and make that possible. So they'll look back on us, and they'll praise us and applaud us for what we did, but we have to make sure we see it through.
Let me ask you something, Rob,
Yeah.
about first contact.
Okay.
Do you think something like artificial intelligence or something like that might initiate first contact with a species on Earth, like being able to talk to the animals? How do you think that would change things up if for example, there was some kind of translator created where you could talk to your pet dog, or talk to a
Ooh,
dolphin? Do you think that might be like some kind of first contact?
that would be so insanely, I, I want to say, helpful to the conversation, because we know that there are a group of species on this earth that are smart enough to potentially have a dialogue with us, and
Yeah.
have their own thoughts and feelings. So it would be oh my gosh, it would be so amazing to have that be a possibility. And I don't, why not? If we can speak different languages, if we can translate and learn different languages, why not be able to get to a point to where we can decipher? And I guess they're trying to do that now, like dolphins and whales,
Yeah, yeah,
trying
yeah.
to figure out what it is that they're saying. Elephants. Could you imagine the stories that they would tell, or
Well,
what they might be able to add to the conversation?
yeah. I mean,
Crazy.
yeah. I mean, you could have a these aquatic mammals that live for hundreds of years could tell you that they've been speaking to extraterrestrials, or there could be a darker side. I mean, what when I have two little dogs, I have two little Jack Russells, and when I look at them and they look at me, I kind of get the sense that we're on the same page, we understand each other. But there's a darker side. Things like um, the meat production facilities and things like that, and animals being bred for food. I mean, what if you could? And I eat meat. I'm not a vegetarian. I'm not a vegan. and I don't want to go down that line. If people want to be vegetarian, vegan, that's absolutely fine. I'm just not at that point where I can make that crossover. But um, we're talking about animals' feelings and things like that. You know, imagine if CNN was interviewing some cattle that were on the way to the slaughterhouse, and they were saying, "Hi, how do you feel? You're on the way to the slaughterhouse." Um, that gets pretty deep. That's
Exactly.
that's touching on all kinds of bad things from our history. Um,
Yeah,
but
man.
maybe first contact might not come from the stars. It might come from us, and somebody makes a breakthrough, and like you said, they can talk to dolphins. They can talk to some of the great apes who are, only a stone's throw away from us in regards to nature and nurture and how they go about things. I mean, I don't know if you saw that clip Joe Rogan played it a couple of shows ago, where there was an orangutan using a spear to catch fish
Yeah, yeah.
in the jungle. I mean, we're
I
not.
saw that.
There's not that much between us, is there? And if there was some kind of language translation, maybe that'll come through AI or whatever. I don't know.
Possibly,
Um,
yeah, possibly,
um, uh,
yeah, yeah.
uh,
I think AI would probably be able to figure that problem out, you know? So, yeah, that might be a benefit to AI. AI might figure out how to translate without our input or help, might figure out on its own if we were to let AI go off on its own and kind of develop on its own and learn. It may, yeah, AI. I don't see why AI couldn't figure that out. It might be able to. I think that's a possibility there, truthfully. And then just to add to the conversation, right? So, we assume that and this is kind of just playing into what we're talking about, but we assume because we consider ourselves the most intelligent beings on this planet that the ETs, when they get here, or when they decide to make this contact, that they're going to want to talk to us. Maybe they've been talking to these other creatures and species for a long time. Maybe they have an open dialogue with them. Wouldn't
yeah,
that
but
be crazy?
yeah, but
Because
there's the Star Trek one, or what is it? Where they transport the whales. The whales have been talking to this huge entity. I forget the name of that movie. It was one of the Star Trek movies. Um, yeah, I don't. Just because we build uh, jet planes and mainframes doesn't necessarily mean that we are the most intelligent species on the planet.
yeah,
Um, there may be a form of devolution where you don't need all these things. You don't need all these material things. You don't need all these these advances in technology. You look at the great apes and that they live a fantastic life. They have nothing. They don't have televisions. They don't have smartphones.
right.
Um, they live a very puristic life, um, living off nature. Maybe what we need isn't evolution. Maybe we need devolution,
Yeah, yeah,
where we kind of go back to basics,
yeah.
and maybe then we can develop on a more spiritual
I
line.
agree. I agree. I agree because and this goes back to something I talked about as far as like the forks in the road that humanity has taken left or right, along our path to get to where we're at today. And yeah, one of those turns, one of those choices that we made was wrong because it led us to a situation where we can destroy the planet. So we probably could have took a right instead of a left earlier, and ended up probably in a better situation. So yeah, the only way to undo it is for people to either wake up and realize what's going on and we need to fix this, or, like you said, the evolution kind of roll it back, roll the clock back. And unfortunately, there's only a few ways that that could happen, which doesn't really end well for a lot of us. Some sort of asteroid impact, or some sort of nuclear situation that doesn't kill everyone and kind of just forces us to go back and take those steps back in evolution. Because yeah, I mean that would be one of the answers, and it's not a good way to get to that point, but it'd be the only way that we
Well,
would
maybe
de-evolve.
maybe that's how it all works. Um, maybe throughout our history we have these big reset situations, whether it's a meteor or volcanic eruption or a plague or something like that. But maybe these things happen. We have these resets, but we carry forward, whether it's genetically or some other weird woo. We carry forward these lessons, and each reincarnation is an improvement on the last.
Mm. Mm. I like that. I do like that. That makes a lot of sense too. That makes actually a lot of sense. Yeah, yeah. There's obvious evidence of resets happening over time, and we definitely see the evidence of that. So yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense.
I,
And
I
then it's
was
just about how that reset happens.
I was reading an article a couple of weeks ago on genetic memory, um, and it didn't have anything to do with humans. It was about birds and how a bird uh, hatches from the egg, and then 2 years later, without witnessing any like schooling, builds a nest and lays more eggs. Um, if you can understand that, it isn't taught how to build a nest. It doesn't have that precognitive training. But
Mm-hmm.
a bird is born, it hatches, then it fledges, then it leaves the nest, it lives for a couple of years, and then it breeds and builds a nest. But it has no previous teaching of that. So that it was talking about like genetic memory.
Yeah.
What's passed down through genes. I mean, you can apply that all throughout all of nature, even humans. But humans do seem to lack quite a lot of that. But nature seems to embrace it. All the species, whether it's fish in the ocean or birds in the sky, have this innate ability to be born and reproduce without any teaching or lesson. I mean, how does a bird know how to build a nest when it's never been when it's never been shown how to do it? It's like it's like asking a dog to service a car. It's
Right.
But birds especially, and fish have this innate ability to reproduce and build nests or homes without any previous or what we perceive as not having any previous schooling how to do this. So that can only be genetic memory. That's all it can possibly be.
Yeah.
Where
Period.
memories being passed on genetically in the genes, from that first spark of life, memory is created.
Which is
I mean
amazing.
that touches on a whole range of things like humans having past memories and things like that. I mean, all this genetic memory. I mean,
Mm.
what if you're getting a memory passed on from 4 generations ago, and
Mm.
you're suddenly claiming, "Oh, I've got past life memories. I was born 400 years ago." Could
Mm.
could just be genetic memory being passed on.
Yeah.
And I think the argument for that is pretty strong. Like I said, I think the best example is when a bird hatches out of an egg, then it fledges, lives in the wild for 2 years, then breeds and builds a nest without having any knowledge whatsoever of how to build a nest. It builds that
Yeah.
nest
I like that.
in sometimes very intricate detail. You know,
I like
you
that.
have you,
Well,
you have these hanging nests in Africa and things like that, which are exquisite. Um, you know, exquisite pieces of architecture. How does the bird know how to do that when it's never been shown how to do that? It's got to be genetic memory. If
yeah, it
birds
has
and
to be.
fish and things like that can have genetic memory, then I'm pretty sure humans have as well.
Yeah, you're totally on to something there and totally right. And one of the things that always blew my mind and just still does, it's along those things. It's the genetic memory is when you see these turtles that come up on the same beach to lay eggs, and then the turtles hatch and go back out to sea to live for their adult lives, and then come back to the same exact beach to lay their eggs. That always that let me know when I saw that let me know that there's something more to this. Like it isn't, it isn't something they're just doing. They're driven to do it, and it could be from previous memory, or it's the energy. They're being beaconed by energy
Beacon,
to a certain place, or
perfect example. I mean, you have I mean, there's hundreds of examples like that. You have the salmon that go and spawn back in the rivers they were born in. I mean, how does that work? How 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 is it possible for these biological entities, these fish or animals, or turtles is a fantastic example, by the way. How is it possible for them to swim or travel tens of thousands of miles and and then return to the place they were born? Unless I don't know, maybe they've got some kind of mad GPS from when they were born.
and
What relocates them back to where they was born? I don't know. Maybe there's some kind of imprint, some GPS imprint.
not
That's
only that, but they do it all at the same time.
all at the
That's
same
even
time.
more
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, it's
Thousands of them at the same moment.
crazy. What is that? I mean, that's some kind of like a timer, like some countdown timer. Like, boom, okay, you've been off partying. Now it's time to go home and sow the seeds. And
Crazy. And
for a lot of these species, like salmon, for example, when they do it, it's the last thing they do. You know,
right, right.
yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. They're going there to reproduce and die.
Right.
I mean,
Literally.
that's that's
That lets you know that right there lets you know that there's a way bigger picture here than
yeah,
us primitive minded humans could even begin to get, but they get it. They get it, but we
Uh,
don't. And and then ask yourself this: it would almost seem like it would literally almost seem like every species on Earth except for humans or primates, maybe even primates do this too. But humans, we don't have that. Like if you did an experiment and you let a baby be born and you let that baby grow, would that baby grow and be able to pick up traits and characteristics from that genetic memory? Would that baby by itself grow into a man or lady that would instinctually have the thoughts or the memories to build a fire or to create a shelter, or would those things come naturally? Like, did we lose that, or did we ever have that? And does that further point that maybe that shows why we're not from here, because we don't do what these other species do here when it comes down to that? Because it seems like they have that interconnection to this planet and to the geography and the things that it takes to continue their species
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
eternity, but we may not actually have that as humans. That's a crazy thing to think about
Yeah,
as well.
I mean, there's there's uh, so many species that can fend for themselves from when they're born. They don't need any nurturing or anything. Like I said, great example, the turtles. They hatch from the egg, and that's it. If they can crawl down to the ocean before being picked off by predators, and that's them. No nurturing, no nothing. Um, if, if a human being, if you have a human being who gives birth and that child is left unattended and unnurtured, you know, it's not going to be around for too long.
Right.
And same with a lot of species, but there's many species that are born and live life, and I think most of them are probably aquatic species. There is nurturing in aquatic species, but many of these. I mean, how basic do you want to go? You have like tadpoles and frogs. They don't have any nurturing. They're born and then they're thrown into the wild. You know,
Right.
um, without any nurturing, but they have this ability to survive. Um, yeah, it's fascinating.
It is. It is. I mean, that just, like I say, it just lets us know that there's just a part of this, a big part of this that we just don't get. And it just proves that things are interconnected in that way, in this way that we're talking about, whether it's the energy or consciousness and how it, is conductive to the air. Like if the air is conductive to our energy, which it may be, it possibly could be, and how that affects other things on this planet. And because that's, they live in synchronicity. On top of all that, they live in synchronicity out there in the wild, and it's a working model that continues without our intervention, or if we intervene or not. There, it works on its own like clockwork.
Yeah, I agree. I think we as humans have massive egos, and we seem to think we know everything that's going on because we have quantum physics and smartphones. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think actually that's the real deal. I think the natural world has a beautiful equilibrium
Yeah.
that bypasses all that energy-driven, materialistic life, and we seem to put ourselves up on a pedestal. And you know, when a newborn baby is born premature, and we have the ability to promote that young life into being, we seem to think that's very important, and I'm sure it is to many people. It is to me.
Well, and that's
But
why I had this put up on the screen is the end of anthropocentrism, which is exactly what you're speaking about.
yeah,
Us feeling like we're the the top dog, the smartest group in the bunch, and yeah, I
so
mean,
so what is so so if we're thinking that, and we have that kind of philosophy, it all kind of seems to point to that. Um, you know, we're not natural to this planet. We are not natural to this planet. We've come here from somewhere else, and maybe our ego is some alienistic ego that thinks, we're the top dog, we're the top life form, we govern everything. Maybe that's just the way an alien mind might think, coming into a natural biodiverse environment. We can build rocket ships, you can't. Maybe that's happening across our galaxy, or even beyond that. I don't know. Do you reach that point in technological advancement where you feel we are the top dogs? We can cure diseases, and we can bomb children. It's too many cliches going on there. I think devolution is the way, not evolution.
yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, Lee. I think you're definitely onto some stuff here. I love it. I love it, and man, I mean, it just makes you think, which is great because that at the end of the day, you should be left with more questions. And I think we furthered some conversation tonight, truthfully, because I think it's that I think it's just like you said. I think it ends up proving or at least gives a strong case to the idea that maybe we aren't from here, and that's kind of what we're doing. And if you someone who hasn't sat down to have this conversation or hasn't went through the thought process and spitballing like we're doing, just kind of looks at this as ridiculousness. But there's a lot of great points that are made in this, and a lot of things that if you sit down and you have an open mind and you're able to listen and take, you know, it's not actual evidence. Well, I guess a lot of it is evidence, but we're not putting a stamp on it and saying that this is what it is, but we're definitely throwing some plausible things out there that make a lot of sense. And it goes back to one thing I said, which is I think a lot of this stuff can be figured out with common sense. Like we put our greatest minds and our analytical minds and scientists on this or that to figure out, and I don't think really they're it's proven that they can't come up with the answer. That even with the minds that they have, that they can't come up with the answer. And I think if you take the common sense approach, you don't have to have a scientific mind to kind of come to the conclusions that we probably should be coming to on the path to figuring this out. I think the minds that we were given, we have enough in our own individual minds to process the information and kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
come to
I
the
agree.
conclusions that
I
we're doing.
I agree, Rob. You don't need to have any kind of scientific mind. You don't need a bachelor's degree. You don't need to have gone to MIT or worked at S4. You don't need any of these degrees to have an understanding of what we need to progress. I think we are constantly being invaded by countercultures, racism, and hypotheses that go against human feelings and compassion.
Yes.
And I think that's quite disturbing because it's happening right now. And like I say, I think we need to take a step back and say to ourselves, if I come across this person in the street that needed help, would I help them, regardless of what? Yes, I would. I think we need to be looking at situations like that. And it's quite disturbing. There's a lot of things going on in the world right now, a lot of terrible things, things that are being promoted on the media, things that are not being promoted on the media. A lot of natural concerns are not being promoted on the media at the moment because everything's been focused on human catastrophe.
Right.
Whether that's war, I won't get into that, but I will say this. Well, I will get into that. Well, when a child dies in a war zone, it's time to stop the bombing. But there's also natural catastrophes. There's fish, millions of fish being washed up on the beaches. There's all kinds of natural disasters, species dying, pollution, nuclear stuff that's not being mentioned in the news, all kinds of things. So we are definitely being channeled towards, and whether it's right or wrong, I don't know, because as a species we need to survive, definitely being channeled towards human incidences.
Yes.
Whether that's one of these cases of watch the right hand and while the left hand does something else, I don't know. It could be. I mean, it could be these ufology hearings and things like that. What's happening up on the Hill in Congress with all those millionaires. It always seems to be that there's some kind of distraction when these UFO hearings come into place and something like that. But yeah, everything seems to be focused on human catastrophe, which I appreciate, and it should be. There's people starving. There's people starving to death right now. Right. There's people who haven't eaten for 3 or 4 days and will die today through starvation.
Yeah, it's sad, man. It's sad. And we have the tools to fix it. We just have to come together and make it happen. Because if you think about it, and this will kind of just wrap all that up, is if we talked about how every other species essentially is in tune with nature and the nature's path, and we're the only ones that aren't. And not coincidentally, we're the only ones that allow ourselves to be controlled by our own species. Like, we live under a rule where you look at that and it doesn't happen, like it doesn't happen on the same level in nature. And it's like, that's the thing that we're missing to be able to tune ourselves back into what we're supposed to be on the path that we're supposed to be on. We have to get rid of this power structure and this control situation, and which makes it unfair for some or for most, and only fair for the 1%. So yeah, we have to get back to our natural state of being as humans, where we don't have nuclear weapons to protect ourselves. We have sticks and spears, or fists and fingers, or whatever we would use naturally in nature to protect ourselves. And we have to get back to that, which
I'm,
is the same
yeah,
thing you said with
yeah,
de-evolution.
yeah. I agree. I think what we need to do is just step outside and feel the rain on our face,
Yeah,
and and be thankful for that. Because you can collect that rain and you can plant seeds and you can feed yourself. There's no drama. There's no drama.
yeah.
Um, you know. Um, oh, I don't ever want to touch on this now because I know you want to start wrapping things up, Rob. There's religion and things like that, and the whole these narratives that cause conflict. And I'm going to take my dogs out for a walk when we wrap up here, and it's raining now. I'll
Oh,
put my
nice.
coats on my I'll put my coats on my dogs, and I'll feel the rain on my face,
Yeah,
and 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 I'll be happy
there you
that
go.
I woke up today. I'll
That's
be
right.
happy that I'll be happy that I've had the courage to call in and talk to you today. I think we've
Man, I appreciate you too.
I think we've had a pretty nice conversation.
I think so as well. I think so as well. It's totally appreciated, and it's if Area 51 is still out there, it shows another face, another a voice to the name, and that's an excellent thing. I always see you in the chat. I've seen you in many chats, and it's just so awesome to hear your voice and have that connection with you. So it's I really appreciate you coming forward and having a conversation. And yet, I agree, it was a great one, and I would love to have many more. So now that you have stepped up, feel free to hop up here anytime and join in on any conversation that we're having. Period. Anytime.
I appreciate that, Rob. And once again, um, a fantastic platform that you're promoting here. Uh, um, yeah, really, really nice family. And yeah, I think all the people who come in and listen to you and check you out over on SOR, um, really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Glad to hear that. I appreciate the love and appreciation for what it is that we do, and yeah, it's all for us. It's all for us and to further us, and I'll do it until we see something happen or until I can't do it. So yeah, and I hope you're here with us, man, because I would love to, like I say, have further conversations with you going forward, and people out there, haven't thought about coming and stepping up and having a conversation. We have another one here who is broken out the mold and has stepped up, talked about his experience, and then actually had a great conversation. So I hope to hear from others too. All right. And I think Simon might have dropped out. Well, Simon, we do appreciate you. So just so you know. Oh, no, that was Lee. So now we got Simon on stage. No, okay, that's this thing here. It's just covering this black spot. Okay. No, so Simon has the comment that I have up on stage, which is awesome. So Simon says, right? Okay. So Simon says, at Social Dig, Mr. Rob G, when will you organize the C5 you spoke about on SOR maybe we can all join in at the same time. Simon, that is what I really want to do. So I'm going to have to take the first steps, which is, if you can point out, and that would be helpful, right? If you can, everyone out there, if you can point out people who engage in CE5 and appear to be authentic with what they're doing, if you have a list of those people, then yes, I will contact those people and we will. No, I thought you were on stage, Simon. No, I will contact those people and this really try to organize this thing because I really think that and I've just thought this for a long time, but I've only recently voiced it, and I just really think that when I go back to talking about we have the ability to bring disclosure within us, this is one of the ways that we could do that. We could do that through CE5. So I for sure want to set this up, and if I can get a good handful of like real authentic CE5 people on board to do this, then yeah, then I want to set it up. And I want to do this on camera. I want to do this like on a live stream or something. Maybe we can make it a huge thing. But, maybe include some channelers as well and really try to bring this thing in because if it's a real thing that can really happen, then we should be able to do this. It should be successful. We should be able to do this without any problem at all, just setting up the time and the place. Yeah, yeah. Simon like, well, I like that though. But Simon says it comes out naturally for whatever reason. Hi, Ruth Kleber. Thank you for coming in. We just had a great conversation, and looks like we're about to have a little bit more here. We got Jim in the back. Jim is coming up on stage right now. And Jim, how are you, sir? It's like you're muted there. All right, Jim is muted. Okay,
Now, can you hear
there
me?
you go.
You can
How
hear me.
you
Oh,
doing,
good.
Jim?
Oh, great. I was trying to get my avatar in there. I got one. I have another avatar, but I got that one in anyway. Okay, so yeah, this has been a really good show. Wow. I've been really grokking it. Really, very, very
Some
good
great
show.
stuff, man. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, a lot of spitballing there, but it makes a lot
yeah.
of sense.
A lot of good thinkers and talkers. And I noticed a guy in the chat there. I kept agreeing with him. He's Timoth Man.
Oh yeah, Tim
Yeah,
Altman. Yeah,
and he kept with his comments, he kept hitting the nail right on the head. All I had to do was agree with him, boy. Yeah, he's got a proper idea, I think, of what science really is. He has a good idea of that. I don't know how he gets that, but he does. He's very correct on that, I would say. And yeah, for sure. Then we had that guy from England there, and I guessed he was from a town in northern England. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Darlington. I just took a guess. I said, "Is that a Darlington accent?" I don't know, but it just kind of sounded like it to me. So
oh, you still out there? Is that Darlington, Lee? Are you from Darlington or close to there?
what?
Yeah, he'll answer soon here. Yeah, but yeah, just man, yeah. I mean, like I said, it's a lot of oh, he's Manchester.
That's very close.
Oh, is
Pretty,
it? Okay.
pretty close. Yeah, northern England, sort of. Oh,
Yeah. So what do you have for us?
well, I changed my avatar in YouTube today to to a face I found. This is I'll call it a mask. It's a face that I've been looking for online all over the place. It's the mask that my alien friend wears on his face, right? Um, yeah, so I changed it. So that's not me anymore. It's the mask that my alien friend wears on his face when he comes to visit me, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty good. I changed to that just so people could see that's what he looks like. But I do know that that is a mask that he wears when he's walking around on Earth, right? To he does that sometimes, and he meets some humans and stuff, interacts with humans, but he tries to make himself look human, so he wears that thing on his face, and that's something I learned from the indigenous people. This concept of visual images projected by the mind, and it's done by a mind to mind communication, kind of a mind to mind hypnosis from person to person. So when I see these aliens, I've met I think four different types of aliens. When I meet them, I think, aha, I recognize this this image that they put up, which is not really what's there. It's what they put in my mind, right? And I recognize that, and I will try to look around it, this visual image, like with the Greys when they came to visit me with the tall white guy, and they came as a group, and the Greys were there, and I knew the Greys were wearing a different kind of face, right? A mask over their face. So I would jerk my head sideways to try to look around their mask, right? They knew exactly what I was doing, so they'd turn their heads away from me because they wanted to keep their true faces hidden. So they
Mm-hmm.
wore like a dark mask over their face, and they wore a bunch of human clothing, like a hat with a peak that came down and collar that came up, to try to hide themselves, and a hoodie. And there was four of them, and each wore different human type clothing because they were wanting to fit in and walk among the humans, right? But they don't do it well. They screw up because they their clothing, although each one wore a different clothing and all this, different hats, different coverings near their face and hoodies and whatnot. Um, uh, all of their clothing had creases like that they were right off the shelf from the clothing store, right? All brand new clothing. And this looked weird to me. And I saw this, I thought, oh, that's not possible. That's not normal. That is weird. And their behavior and their motions and so on, they're having difficulty fitting in with humans, but they wanted to come and walk among the humans and try to pretend to be humans, and I could see through that. I could see through all their mind tricks, because I've learned these tricks from the indigenous people, right? That's where I learned it.
Right.
And yeah, and this goes into an idea. I think I don't know if it was here, but somebody was just talking about consciousness and what the heck is consciousness anyway. It was another guy, a very scientific person that I listen to sometimes, Kurt Kurt Jaumungal or something like that.
Oh yeah.
That guy, yeah, yeah, he's a very scientific thinker.
Yeah.
He said, although he's very knowledgeable about science, he said he doesn't really get the consciousness thing. He just doesn't get it. And what I would like to tell to him and those type of people, those highly scientific people who are now talking about consciousness, I want to tell them that they must go and listen to the pre-writing knowledge of the indigenous people of Earth. Listen to them, please, because they had more of this figured out. They had a lot of stuff figured out about consciousness. And if you can add that knowledge, like the indigenous knowledge, if you can add that to the science, now you're going to get somewhere. I figure this would result in a huge leap forward in the scientific knowledge if they would just take some hints and clues from the indigenous knowledge, just try to learn from them. Maybe go into a study for a period of time, and the study of anthropology and the indigenous knowledge and all that for a period of time. And then when you look back at science, you see, oh, well, this is the better idea here,
Oh yeah.
in science. That you can connect the two together, and that's what I try to do in philosophy. Um, so that's kind of my work that I've been working on earlier today, before I found your show here. Yeah, I didn't want to go on for a few days. I had the 48-hour flu or something,
Oh yeah.
and then I had to catch up on my chores, and oh my goodness. Ah,
No, but you make
wha-
good points there because I do also believe, and so does Maggie M10 here, that the indigenous people had a lot of stuff figured out because yeah, they're the ancient people and they've lived this and thought this out over thousands of years. So I agree with that statement as well as Maggie M10 does as well.
yeah. Oh, very much so. I'm going to try to get that idea out there. I'll get a good idea, and then I try to put it out into cyber cyberspace, right? And try to get my ideas repeated by other people. And sometimes they do. I think sometimes I think I have achieved that. I had a good idea back about 12 years ago. It was I wrote it down as mind viruses surf on waves of fear and hate through a sea of information bottom feeders. Period. And I call that a quasi haiku. you know, and
Nice.
I presented that online to a group. There were Wikipedia, or I think, what was
Was
it?
it Wikipedia?
No, not Wikipedia. Something like that. Anyway, and I presented it to them, and then I watched as this concept of mind viruses and the term mind virus multiplied, and now it's in many places around the internet. But before I before I wrote those words down, I had never seen them anywhere. But yeah, there is such a thing, I think. So, or maybe I'm just imagining that. But still, I try to put my ideas out there and have some influence on academia, and something I'm writing about academia these days is academia has gone off the rails. It's seriously gone off the rails. I mean, it's just gone haywire.
Yeah, fill us
And
in.
pardon me.
Fill us in on that thought process.
Oh, okay. Well, I just got a little audio problem here. You can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. You can't hear
Yeah,
me?
but I can't hear you through my headphones, which would be better if I could. Now
Hmm.
I'm gonna make a change. I'm gonna plug and unplug my USB.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, it's working now. Yeah, I just had to unplug my 3.5 millimeter and plug back in my USB audio system. I'm juggling audio systems and settings, and my goodness. So okay, yeah. Academia gone off the rails now. So my professors online, I have these biology professors, and they're a husband and wife team. Um, they were teaching at a university. They had some difficulty. They quit it and they went offline, or sorry, they went online. Now they're not working for any university now. They're doing their own gig online, and they're really good. They're a husband and wife, PhD biology professor team. They have two teenage sons, and I listen to them as much as I can. This is how I learn stuff. But these people, okay, you see this guy. I'll give you his name. It's Brett Weinstein. Uh, he he's firing back at academia. He's telling academia what's wrong with it, including the science, everything, the whole academia, right? And in science, he he has found, and he has evidence of this, that the peer review process has gone bad. It's no longer any good at all. And he gives very good evidence of this. And then I see that with my other professor of biology who's in the United Kingdom, and he's saying the same thing, even though he has a very different point of view. He's way over there in the United Kingdom, and he says the same sort of thing. That science is corrupt. It's not. It's not doing well at all. It needs fixing big time. And yeah, so I try to work in that area. Well, I started working doing environmental engineering in the 1980s, and at that time, right away, I had to get into a place where politics and science meet. And there's politics, science, economics, and law, all kind of scrunching together and trying to figure out how to run a country, how to manage a country. And it's the same in the US or Canada or anywhere else almost anywhere else I've looked. But this is the problem with the world, really, is this I think anyway, it's the politics. It's I keep saying we should give politics back to the baboons. Give it back to them. Let them live by their politics games. Humans
Right.
got to rise above that stuff. I mean, that's the politics is so bad. I look around the world for good politicians, and I do not see many. Not
Right.
I see a few, but not many. A guy I really like internationally. He's the Prime Minister of India. His name is Modi, Modi, and I've been watching what he does internationally and within his own country, and you can see that he loves his country and he loves his people. That's it's obvious, and he's a really cool guy. I like him a lot. Um, and then I'll look anywhere else for a good leader of a country, or even just a good idea. Like political ideas or government ideas. Like the U.S. does have a few very good political ideas. I like their mode of regulating industry. It's better than Canada in that way. Certainly, a lot better. And the overall, I can say that the U.S. government does better science than the Canadian government because I worked right in that area. That's my job, right in that whole area of politics and science, man, big time. And I can say that I've been to a lot of lectures on it, and there's even professors have told me, kind of in a hushed voice, yeah, the American regulation is a lot better, way better thought out, better science, and so on. So yeah, so that's kind of where I work, and I've been, given submissions into political events like inquiries and things like that, given submissions into that, and it's kind of my job, and that's you know what I do for the aliens. That's the job that I think I do for the aliens, right? Is I'm just trying to make the world better in that way, using my abilities in that area. Um, yeah, so it's kind of what I do.
That's cool, man. That's cool. What did you think about the conversation that we were having on where, essentially everything we're talking about on our place here and the synchronicity of nature itself and um, some ideas for what we should probably do to get ourselves back in tune or in touch with where we should be going.
In environmental things,
Yeah, environmental things. Also, just just some of the basic human things as well, just as far as
Hmm.
dealing with humans and kind of what we were
Hmm.
speaking about earlier.
Yeah, yeah, humans and the way their brains work. Like, there's environmental podcasts that I go to very often, but the people who run the podcast, uh, they know me, but I don't always agree with them. I sometimes disagree. And this podcast, it gets a few hundred viewers, and it's, they're talking in a, what do they call it, an echo chamber, of course, and all reciting the same things over and over. And I'll
Hmm.
just pop in there and I'll disagree with something they say. Like, for example, okay, these are mostly women running this podcast, and they're talking about flying in airplanes all over the place. They said, "Oh, I have to fly down to Florida, or I got to fly over to California, or something like this." And these are environmentalists, right? And we often talk about the green footprint and the carbon footprint and all these kind of concepts in environmentalism. And I write back to them, I'm shocked. What are you doing? What are you doing flying all over the place? You don't need to fly anywhere. I mean, that'll double your carbon footprint for the year. What are you
Right.
doing? And one thing I tell them also, is that my carbon footprint is the lowest in the whole group. My environmental footprint, my carbon footprint is absolutely the lowest of anybody there in the group. And I'd be willing to do the arithmetic with them if they like. So that's why they allow me to stay in there. I was online with them one time, but I don't think they let me back online. I'm a little bit contentious with them. I have too many criticisms of them, and I correct them too much, and they don't like that. But anyway, that's my job. So when I say I'm an environmental engineer, I'm not what most people think of as a typical environmentalist, right? I'm not one of those people. I'm not out there gluing my hand to the road. I'm not going to do that. It's not helpful in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, I prefer to do the science and debate with other scientists is what I really should be doing, more than anything, as well as talking to the public. But yeah, I got arguments with my professors in climate science. One of my professors, who I followed for easily 10 years. And I mean, when I first found this guy, I sent him a bunch of money and all this, became his student, the whole deal, right? And now he's gone off track, really kind of gone off track. And I have some heavy criticisms of him, but that's difficult to do, um, because he could just block me or whatever, eh? But yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. 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 So, with that being said, yeah. So I'm just on the path of, I guess this is what we can do. So we can, because I did want to, I know we started in the beginning the conversation when Juan was here about the conversation me and Dave were having the other day on the show. And I guess we can end it on the catastrophic disclosure versus closed disclosure, the whole controlled disclosure, the whole debate going on with that right now.
Hmm.
What side do you fall on? How do you feel about it? And uh, if you could explain your answer or why you feel the way that you do.
Well, I think it is better if more of the public have a better, more knowledge about what's going on. More knowledge. Yes, more public knowledge. That is good. And I like to see, uh, you know, uh, knowledge of the aliens and the UFOs and all. I like to see that rise in public opinion, and we do see that some of the mainstream media now are doing just straight reports on UFOs and aliens, and they're not making it into a joke. They don't put weird music on or anything like that. They just report, this guy says that we have alien bodies, or they'll make a report like that and they won't make a joke out of it. This is really good. and this is a big change, and I like to see that. That's so disclosure has brought this about, and that's good. That's great. That's a movement in the proper direction, and I like to see that. Um, yeah. Now, I sometimes just ask a stranger, a stranger. I'll say, "Oh, excuse me, I'm taking a poll. Can I ask you one question for my poll?" And they say, "Oh, sure, okay, ask me one question." So I say, "Have you ever seen a UFO?" And most of them are just quite neutral. They don't make a joke out of it or anything. The odd one still does make a joke, but these days people are quite accepting of that idea, and I mean the general public are accepting of it. They may not believe in UFOs, but they will not scoff or something like that. So yeah. So I do notice a slight change, but I think that's the good thing about disclosure. Now, I think the reality about disclosure is that, well, I honestly I don't think the government can disclose everything. I just don't think I don't think it's possible. I mean, there's just too much. There's too much there, the information. There's too many crimes committed, too much money stolen. I mean, all that sort of thing. And yeah, I don't. But we can disclose more. This would be good if more was disclosed, and people would begin to accept. If more people begin to accept the possibility of aliens, that would be a good thing. And I even see this in academia. There are some cracks being made in hardcore science where some people in hardcore science are starting to listen to people like Avi Loeb. Avi Loeb is excellent, excellent guy, wonderful guy. And he gets other academics to admit, well, okay, I'll listen to it. I mean, there's a number of steps for these guys. I'm trying to think of some guy. He's oh my goodness, I can't think of his name, but he was very anti-alien, anti-UFO about a year ago. Very, very anti. But now he's talking quite differently. He will say, "Well, I'll listen to you." So he will listen to Avi Loeb and have a reasonable conversation with Avi Loeb. But he has changed. I've seen his mind change over a period of time, and that's really good. Yeah, where more and more science are saying, well, okay, we'll have a look at it. At least we won't make jokes about it. But yeah, so that's good, and that's a byproduct of disclosure, and that's a good thing. Yeah, that's good. It's all uh, more knowledge for more people. That's it's always a good thing. I think more
Yeah.
truth.
Now, what do you think the impact, because control disclosure for me is the government wanting to control how long it takes for this to come out. So in the end, they also get to keep power. That's my definition of control disclosure. Catastrophic disclosure, I feel, is anything that goes against that plan that the government has to keep power. So
Hmm.
that's just whether it's the ET landing, whistleblower coming out and disclosing everything with pictures and everything. What side do you fall on, and then why?
Hmm. Well, yeah, there's different personalities in there. You got Grush and Schumer and these people. Um, well, you see, I don't trust Chuck Schumer, and I didn't from the beginning. And when I first heard he did he author that bill? I think he authored the bill or something like that.
I think he did. In the end, he authored it. Well, I think with help though.
Yeah. So now a lot of people would think, oh well, Chuck Schumer's a good guy. I don't think he's a good guy. I'm sorry. I don't think so. I had a low opinion of him before. Maybe that's why. But so anyway, you got him, and you got Luna, and you got uh, the various whistleblowers, witnesses, and whatnot. Yeah, Grush. Well, or Grush. Am I saying that right? He he claims to have a lot of knowledge and very little proof or evidence, really. Um, hmm. So I I don't know. I don't know how much forward motion is going to be made. I think I told you before about how Lou Elizondo introduced a whole new concept into this disclosure, which is the materials. Because if we have materials that are obviously not of human manufacture, but that are manufactured, if we have those materials, everything follows from that. It follows from that there are UFOs, there are aliens, there are a lot smarter than us, and so on. It all follows from those materials, right? So when Lou Elizondo said that, my ears just stood up. I thought, oh, we got something going on here. Now, but to understand that, you have to understand that Lou Elizondo is talking through an NDA. And I always knew that about him when he first opened his mouth. One of the first things he says is, I'm under the influence of an NDA. So, you have to understand that, and so everything he says, you have to see that filter, right? Now, some people are critical of Lou Elizondo, but no, I get it. I totally get it because he knows that people are killed over secrecy. He knows that very well. And he's one of those kind of people who has the secrets, you know, that, that are very dangerous secrets to know, And like even my more favorite whistleblower is still Bob Lazar. And you know what they did to him? I mean, they shot his car and they chased him around and
Right.
and destroyed his history. And oh my goodness, yeah, yeah. I like Bob Lazar, and there is now. I highly recommend that people look at the older videos, and this goes for Bob Lazar. So if you're going to search Bob Lazar on YouTube, go back. Not you don't want to watch the new information on Bob Lazar, the new documentary. I have no interest in that documentary. I won't watch it. It's silly. But I go back to the old ones where in the 1993, 94 time period, Lazar was a much younger man and he was giving lectures and Q&As and oh my goodness, he's smart. Wow, he knew a lot back then. He was quite phenomenal. And I recommend, if there are people, if there are people there, like I know there's some people who don't like Bob Lazar, there's other people who don't like Lou Elizondo, but um, you know, I've investigated these things to some depth and found some higher quality information rather than the new documentaries. I don't like documentaries at all. I try to avoid them. They're pretty bad. I'm sorry. I just it's not a good way to learn. I always look for better quality information than the documentary style. So and you have Bob Lazar actually giving a lecture. Now that's better. That's higher quality information than a documentary. So I look for the lectures. I even search for lectures sometimes. So yeah, disclosure. Well, mm, it's like I say, it's good to see public opinion being shifted in the right direction and further towards the truth, I think. Uh, but I I don't I don't think we can know all the truth. if you I'm careful. I'm trying to think of a careful way of saying that, but uh I think there's certain truths you don't want to know. I don't even want to know. Oh, I found this new philosopher online, and she's saying something like what I just said, like you don't want to know all the truth. You can't handle it. And
Yeah.
this woman, she's a professor of comparative religion, and most of the people who are those kind of professors, most of them are atheists. That's very common. Now, this woman, she was kind of a secular atheist. She was raised Catholic, then she became kind of a secular atheist type of person. She got her PhD, wrote books. She's really smart. Wrote books, and so on. But then she got into the UFO subject. Okay, this is why I bring her up. She has totally investigated the UFO subject, and she even went to the Vatican. The Vatican let her in because of her level of education and so on. They let her in. They said, "Oh, yeah, sure, come on in." And she talked to people in the Vatican about UFOs and aliens. Okay, so she is really something. This chick, man, she is wow. She changed me, changed my thinking, because now what what she says in her philosophy, she has gone back to practicing Catholicism. So she is now a practicing Catholic. Now you can, whatever Christian denomination, whatever religious denomination you like, it's applicable. It's not just about Catholicism. It's about any religion, Buddhism, whatever. But she has gone back to being a practicing Catholic, but she's still, the professor, but in her regular life. So she has chosen to how can you see how this is relevant to the question of how much can you know, or is it good for a person to know too much, or
Right.
is it better for a person to maybe not know so much? They'd be happier if they don't know so much, kind of a thing. So this is what this woman, this is her position now. Her philosophy has actually changed over time. And when I listen to her, I realize, well, that's pretty good idea, It's all right, I mean, each individual has a life to live, and maybe you want to, maybe you'd rather be happier than all in a snit and a panic all day long, right? I don't know. It's up to the individual, but yeah, I just wonder uh, how much effect this is going to have. Yeah, we have to wonder that. What the heck is going to happen next? I don't know. I'm looking into the future and I'm thinking, oh boy, could be bad.
Could be bad. Hopefully,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. It could go either way.
Mhm.
Man, it's just we're in a moment right now where, like I was telling Dave, it would appear by all from everything that I see, and actually bring myself back up here, that the with this whole disclosure thing on the table, that they've literally drawn a line in the sand and are pretty much just not really even trying to cover up what it is that they're doing, and they're stating pretty much that we're not going to get anything else
Mhm.
from them, making it as hard as possible to get any further information. And it's just at a point where, I don't ever lean on the government for disclosure because I just fully understand that they won't bring it. And that's my whole stance on this, which is why I think the whole controlled disclosure thing is stupid, because it's simply them, trying to do math and figure out how much time they could kind of ride this thing out before either we forget about it, we stop talking about it, or they're in a position where they have to disclose it. But their end result is they just want to make sure that they can still maintain power once it is disclosed. That's their
Mhm.
main focus. So they'll be okay with it coming out as long as they can still exist as a government once it's over with. And I think that's selfish, because the other alternative is catastrophic disclosure, which, if you listen to a lot of people, they say that this is going to affect, if it just comes out tomorrow, that a lot of people, different people, are going to be affected, this economy, all these sorts of irrelevant things at the end of the day. Because, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if the economy suffers in order for humanity to ascend, then that's just what it is to me.
Hmm.
And that's why I'm on the side of control or catastrophic disclosure. I'm all for that because, you know, essentially we don't want to continue with this model anyways. If you were to poll people, with 99% of us being on the bad end of the deal, we probably want to rework the terms of this deal if we're going to go forward with any sort of government. So, you know, catastrophic disclosure is the side that I stand on. And, you know, unfortunately, we may have a little turmoil that comes up behind that, but that too shall pass. And, you know, essentially, you know, we'll risk the few for the greater good of the rest, in order to get us to ascend to that next level. And it's just one of the things that would have to happen. So, and then catastrophic disclosure could be brought in by the thing that I was talking about earlier that Simon was asking about, where I talked about getting some C5 people together and seeing if they could summon something up in front of everybody, because then, you know, government times up on them, so their 20-year plan or whatever is something ridiculous close to that. The plan that they have to just slow drip disclosure is going to be out the window because it's something that we're going to bring immediately by other means. And it's like, you know, the controlled side of this is for the government, pro government, and with keeping them in mind. The catastrophic side of this has solely to do with humanity's best interest. And, you know,
Hmm.
if I have to pick the two, I'm riding with humanity. So, catastrophic disclosure for me all day.
Hmm. Okay, so now what you mean by that is just sudden and complete disclosure, like
Yeah.
aliens walking into every government and the United Nations, just walking in and saying, "Okay, here we are. We are the aliens," and with the U.S. President and all the leaders of the world, they just walk in. Now, that's what you mean? Plus,
Essentially that same effect. So whether it's ETs walking in or whether it's someone coming out with the conclusive evidence showing ETs and their craft, or if it's something that we muster up on our own, but the same result being that immediately the world is aware that ET is here.
hmm, okay, sure. Yeah, I can handle it. I mean, but did you see my new picture that I posted there on that?
Yes, the
The
your
guy in the
in the robe,
bed.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know who that is?
Looks
Do
familiar.
do you know what he's doing right there in that picture? He's a fictional guy, but what he is doing right there, he's looking up in the sky and he's seeing a huge UFO the size of a city. And that's what he's seeing. That's why he's making that face. For
Wow.
the first time in his life, he's seeing this gigantic UFO cruising above, up above. And his name is Arthur Dent. He's a fictional character in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Okay.
And this happens right at the beginning of the books. Like there's five books and two movies at least, but that's him right there. He's looking up in the sky, and for the first time, he's seeing this huge UFO flying by. Right now, fortunately for him, though, at this point in the story, he had a good friend who was an alien, but Arthur didn't know that his good buddy was an alien, and the alien uh, gets Arthur and gets Arthur off the surface of the earth because right after this picture is taken, the earth is just completely destroyed, utterly, totally, completely gone, right? But he escapes alive. Arthur and his other alien friend, they go zoom up into the gigantic spacecraft, and they have to hide in there because so they find some people in there. Well, the spacecraft itself is the size of a city, and so they're in there running around trying to avoid getting captured and killed by the people who are destroying the earth. But anyway, that's just fiction. But I thought the picture here was was it's a picture of a guy who's just experienced catastrophic
There you
disclosure.
go. Uh,
And it's very apropos to
Yes,
everything you're saying right now. There
it
he is.
is.
There's the guy,
It is.
Arthur Dent.
It is so perfect. It is so perfect because that might be the look of on the face of a lot of people the day that we get this pushed through. But it's for at the end of the day, we just have to help those people that seem like they can't handle it, or we just have to make sure that we come in and we surround those people with love and kind of make sure that try to help them get through this because we have to it has to happen. It's just like you're going to the dentist. Like you want the end result, which is to have be pain free, but you have to go to the dentist to get the drill work done, and it's that helping you get through that moment of pain in order to benefit on the other end and be able to be pain free, going forward. And that's kind of analogy for where we're at, and we kind of have to do it. We have to rip the band-aid off. We just have to do it because there is no reason why it should take 20 years or why it should take any more than tomorrow because they already have all the data. They know that they're here. We know that they're here. So it really should just be a conversation that the government wants to have with us. And I've always held out hope, slight hope, but I've always held out the hope that hey, if the government wants to come out on the other end of this and still have some semblance of respect and trust from the people, then they would want to go ahead and just have this conversation, get it over with, so we can move forward and kind of reconfigure what it is that we're doing. But they keep showing time after time after time that they're just not willing to do that. And that just means that we have to move on without them. So, what does that mean? It means maybe when we get to the other side of this, we figure out that we want a different sort of structure over us, if anything, over us at all. And it's just not, they're not in any longer in the conversation or any consideration at that point because yeah, if we get the news first, catastrophic disclosure, and then they want to come and say, oh, yeah, well, we were going to tell you guys. Well, you kind of already lost all the trust there. And so it's kind of, now it's a conversation we don't need to have with you because we've already had it over here amongst ourselves. And then on top of that, we'd like to change what's going on here. And I keep trying to hopefully a government, they infiltrate our conversation. So I'm hoping someone listens in and hears these sort of comments to say, hey, you know what? He might be right. We should just come tomorrow and we should come out and just tell them all because, yeah, we don't want them to look at us like this on the other end of this. And yeah, this could be bad in the long run, worse than if we just come out and tell them. So I always hold out hope that maybe someone listens who has the ability to talk to someone who is in the position of power to make this decision and they kind of just do it for the right reasons because then yeah they can exist after this, but if they don't it's going to be a situation where how do you trust again, how do you with any relationship, how do you build that trust back again when your trust was totally disregarded or your loyalty and the trust that you had given was totally thrown to the side, and it's literally the situation they're in. And if they don't care about that, oh, they don't care about a lot of stuff. But if they don't care about that, how the relationship is going forward, we probably don't want to be under any sort of authority that thinks that way, anyways. So, real tough spot that we're in, and but I'm falling on the side of catastrophic disclosure. So yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. So Jim, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. Are you, if you're available tomorrow, would love to have you definitely come by and continue the conversation. Oh, you're muted, by the way.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, that's weird. I Okay, good. Yeah. Well, tomorrow, what time?
Right after the after hours show.
Okay. So we're in the same time zone. So is that 11? I
Yeah,
don't.
two. It's
Yep.
2 here now. It's 2 where you're at. 2:30.
Yep. 2:30. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Same time zone.
Good. Okay. So that's 11 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, about
Okay.
11:20.
Okay. I will try to do that. Um. Yeah. Okay. I'll try to do that. 11 tomorrow. I'm not good at making appointments and
Yeah.
getting there. I'm not good at that. And
Yeah. What you can
because
do is hit, if you haven't already, hit the notification bell. That
yeah,
way I think it alerts you 30 minutes before we go live. You get an alert and
sure.
then again at 5 minutes, I think.
Okay. I'm getting that 11 number in my brain. I have to imagine it and make it stand out and remember it to remember. That's how my memory works. I have to really, I have to work hard at my memory. But yeah, okay, sure. And yeah, there's all kinds of things we could talk about. I mean, I don't know what the
Oh yeah.
subject's going to be, but I I have a topic I like to discuss, and I brought it up before, and a real good discussion happened, and it crosses over with this Mandela effect, for
Oh yeah.
example, and things like that. It's about the human memory and how it works and all that. So I have an unusual memory of my early life. And
Okay.
I presented this online on a Facebook chat place. I said, "What's your earliest memory in your life?" Because I have a memory from before I was 1 year old. I was in a bassinet, so I was really tiny and little, and I remember it quite clearly. I mean, I saw a big face in front of me and all this, and I remembered everything. And so, and I asked people, "Well, what's your earliest memory?" And they'll say, "Oh, when they were 8 or 12 or something like that." Eh? But there are a few people like me who remember way back. And I have an odd memory which reoccurs sometimes, and I think I'm remembering being in the womb and being tumbled over and over. It's this feeling of being rolled around by I think it's what's it called, peristalsis or something, inside my mother, and I it's just a weird, vague memory. But the other memories I have are very sharp. I mean, remember so many events from when I was 1 year old, and when I started talking at one. And I remember I spoke my first words when I was 1 year old, and I remember all the adults in the room said, "What? How is that kid talking? He's one
No.
and he's talking up a storm, right?" So I remember that very day that happened. I remember who was there: my mom and dad, my uncle Dave, and I was sitting in a high chair. And my mom and dad were feeding me. I remember seeing my uncle Dave, turning around and seeing him there with his bent over shoulders as he stood, because he was quite tall and he had a kind of stoop shouldered stance about him. And I remember seeing all that when I was one. So it's an interesting thing. And it could go back to your what's that, reincarnation and things like that. It could even go back that far. So
Okay.
in other ways, my memory is more average. I mean, my short term memory is average. But I've worked on my memory, so I deliberately, at a point in my life, I realized, okay, I got to work at my memory, and I have. I memorized a bunch of song lyrics, and I memorized the atlas and things like that, which have been very beneficial in my life later on. Very beneficial to me, to work at the memory and actually, work at it. But
Yeah.
it's an interesting subject. I don't know. It does cross over into this Mandela effect.
Well, I like that. I like that. Actually, I was gonna bring up Mandela effect today because Brian had came on and talked about it and kind of blew my mind a little bit earlier today. So because I forgot to do that, and then you brought it up right now, then let's make that the topic tomorrow. Let's go ahead and get
Sure,
it started with that tomorrow.
sure. I had something to say about that because I did not have the Mandela effect. When people started talking about that, I thought, no, that's not true. I remember very clearly when Mandela was let out of jail and he went to live with his wife. And then about 7 years after that, he died at the age of 93. And I remember all that happened in my universe. Anyway, that's what happened in my universe. So the only thing that could explain the Mandela effect is that some people are in living in other universes for a period of time, and we're kind of, some people are jumping back and forth between this universe and that universe. I mean, that's one explanation of it, but I clearly remember Mandela's life. I mean, I was interested at that time, and I totally know what I remember. But I
Yeah.
don't know. There's a Mandela effect. We
Well,
could,
we'll hash it out. We'll hash it out because I'm sure there'll be some proponents to that statement there, and then maybe we could figure out, just like you stated, that maybe it has to do with certain people being on another timeline, and maybe you weren't. Maybe you were on the correct one for whatever reason, and we could kind of dig into that tomorrow.
good deal, man.
All
Sounds real
right.
good.
Well, I can't wait to talk to you, Jim. So I'll be starting at about 11:20, and then we'll start with the topic, and then I guess whenever you get ready, you can just jump on stage, and we'll continue it.
Okay. Sounds good.
All
Yep.
right.
See you tomorrow then. Talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Have a good rest of your night. Take
Yeah.
care.
Bye bye.
All right, guys. So here we go. Let's go ahead, and before we hit the goodbye music, let me thank Jim for coming on stage today, and let me thank Lee as well, Lee the B, Major Lee, for coming in today. Also, Area 51 for getting us started, breaking the ice like he always does. Appreciate you, Juan. But I do want to talk about these Rob G t-shirts. I do want to talk about the Rob G t-shirts. Let me get these in frame because they are on the store. You can get the awesome alien head Rob G right there, man. It was so, I couldn't wait to get it up. We are sitting in the back. We had this sitting up for a while, and couldn't wait to get it up. Now it's up, and it is totally awesome. And you can't see it on the back, but it has spaced out radio going across the back as well. And yeah, man, it's just a sick, sick logo and a sick T-shirt, and it looks good in every color. Red, it looks good in red. It looks good in white, navy blue. There's a green color that like like army green sort of color shirt that really looks good on. And yeah, definitely consider going to, when you do go to the Spaced Out Radio store, consider picking this one up right here. I'm telling you, this is the one right here. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get this wrapped on up. I appreciate you all once again for coming on through to the Social Dig. Had another great time, another great conversation. First, I wasn't going to do the show. I was just going to do one tomorrow. But I said, okay, let's definitely do one tonight. And let's see, how do we join the stream? So, Simon, are you talking about tomorrow stream, the late show, the after show, this show? If it's this show, there's always a link at the top of the chat, pinned at the top, and you simply click on that, and that will open up a page on your browser, and it'll ask you to turn your camera on. Click a couple buttons, and you'll be right up here on stage. If you want to turn the camera on, you don't have to do that. Derek Galloway coming in at the buzzer. Yes, but let me go ahead and get this up because, as you all know, And for sure, we say it all the time, this is for the positive progression of humanity. That's why we have these conversations. That's why we get together on these long nights. That's why we hash out the sort of information that we hash out. And I think we moved the needle today, and I'm really proud of the conversation that we had today. So I think it was very, very awesome. Also a nice compliment to the After Hours show. So I think if you saw both shows, then you probably had a great Saturday night, I hope. But yeah, we got to keep moving the needle, pushing the needle forward. If it's catastrophic disclosure, just what it has to be. So Simon says we're going to be doing that CE5 event. If you guys have any people out there who do CE5, who you know are like at the top of doing CE5, point them in my direction. I want to get like 5 people at least, and then try to organize some sort of public thing. Talk to them and get some public thing going. That way we can go ahead and try to bring this in ourselves, man. We're tired of waiting. This is one way that we can do it, and under our own control with our own people, right? And the government kind of just has to sit back and watch, right? And then choose, hopefully, to disclose before we get to do this. Maybe that'll be a thing. Doubt it. But hey, if they're going to try, let them try. So, with that being said, I definitely want to thank everybody who came in today to watch the show. If you're a lurker, you weren't in the chat today, please consider coming into the chat at some time and maybe even having your voice heard. And if you haven't, please consider hitting the subscribe button, notification bell, so you know next time we go live, which will be tomorrow night. Outside of that, I am your host, Mr. Rob G. This is the Social Dig. You guys have a great rest of your night, and all take care. See you tomorrow.